You're listening to Find the Good News, Episode 42, The Norns, featuring Rex Alexander. This episode of Find the Good News is sponsored by Parker Brand Creative Services, a branding agency that thinks sideways, pushes forward, and gets your brand up. Check out our work at parkerbrandup.com. Well, it's Unwind Wednesday again, and that means I've got good news, so you don't have to find it. Today's episode features Rex Alexander. Rex was in high demand by local listeners, so I'm really grateful that he took time off work and from slinging clay to share his good news with us. I think you're really going to enjoy our talk. Next week, I've got another special edition episode. This will be my first Find the Good News road trip episode. I had the opportunity to visit with Chris Bro, the man behind Monumental Life. We visited at Orange Grove Cemetery in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and afterwards Chris allowed me to help him in his process of bringing tombstones and markers back to life. There will be some video and photo components to this episode, a little video journal of the day we spent at Orange Grove. So not only will you get to hear Chris's good news, but you'll get to see it as well. I hope you're enjoying Find the Good News. If listener numbers are any indication, it seems that you are. You can help me spread the good news by liking an episode, sharing one of your favorites, or leaving a review. Believe it or not, those things aren't just a little ego boost. They actually help a young podcast like this one get out in front of other listeners. For those of you that are already doing that, I really do thank you for your support. I'd love to hear from you to have you be a part of this show, so don't forget that I've created a listener hotline just for you. That number is 802-459-1668. Again, the number is 802-459-1668. You can call and leave me a question, thought, concern, or really anything that you feel is relevant to the show. I'm happy to play and discuss those calls with the good newsies on Find the Good News. If you don't know it already, you can follow Find the Good News on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I post regular updates and links to episodes, and with the new road trip format, those are going to be the places I'll be sharing the video and photo components. If you're looking for another level of engagement with the show, those are the places for it. You can find all of those links on my website at findthegood.news. I'd say that's plenty of announcements for this week, so I'm going to get on to what you came here for. Plug in, sync up, set the volume just right, and let's press play on a little good news. There's nothing better than a good origin story, especially the ones where the little details and chance encounters could have made everything turn out different. What if the main character had arrived a little earlier or a little later in their tale? What if they had gone left instead of right? When local potter Rex Alexander came by to visit Find the Good News, those were the types of legendary details that stood out to me. It seems to me that Rex has always had a desire to create, a part of himself that was looking for its place in the sun. Rex's story is of a chance encounter, smoke, fire, a path, when on the right day at the right time, and with the right people, the course of Rex Alexander's life changed. I personally love Rex's pottery, especially his mugs, and if you own one, then you'll know what I mean when I say they looked like they crawled right out of the earth and into your hand. When I drink from his mugs, it changes the drink, not in any physical way that's discernible. His containers change your mind if you allow them to, because they are imbued with the ethereal energy of his story, containing his passion for sharing what he knows and the joy he finds in experimenting with the medium he was called to use. These vessels were made by his hands with love. I find I get a lot out of discovering people's hinge moments, the things that happen in their life that places them on a new trajectory, creating a new timeline. I can't say that I didn't wonder what would have happened had Rex Alexander walked past his destiny just a few minutes earlier, a few minutes later, or if he decided to take another route on the day that the hinges pivoted, the day his door opened. Perhaps there's an alternate reality out there where Rex Alexander isn't throwing, turning, and shaping clay into the great works we know him by. If so, I'd say I'm glad I live in this one, where I get to share his good news just as it's been formed.
Wake up, it's morning. You're dreaming up a story. I can hear the way it's going, 'cause you're laughing in your sleep on the path to your needed deliverance, and a holy wall of light pouring through your window.
Old news, bad news, fake news. Sometimes you just want to shut it all down and get no news at all. With Find the Good News, I aim to change that by focusing on good people doing good work. I visit with artists, educators, civic and spiritual leaders, musicians, business owners, students, volunteers, and everyday citizens who are using their creativity, resources, and talents to bring hope and happiness to their corner of the world. In each episode, I dig into the hearts and minds of my extraordinary guests. We have street-level conversations about relatable things going on in their lives. Discover the critical life experiences that shape them, the perspectives that drive them, and the fundamental beliefs that are anchoring them to a path of goodness. There's a lot of news in the world. My name is Oran Parker, and I'm going to find the good.
And I love you just as well.
Glad to actually have you on here.
All right, let's go slow. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, so you said you listened to the show?
Yeah.
Who have you listened to?
That was Lyd.
Oh, Lyd. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah. I enjoyed her. She's actually coming back.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, she's gonna. We're doing these mixtape shows where people who have been on the show are going to come back and have like little roundtable conversations, and so she agreed to come back and do one. So I think it'll be fun. Yeah, we did one. I guess I cut the episode about a month ago. It just launched last week, and I got a lot of good responses off of that. So I think people are enjoying the one-on-one, but just seeing all the different dynamics, you know. And one of these days, I'm about to get out there and just when you're actually making pottery. So anyway, when I ask people, you know, who do y'all want to see on the show, and names start coming in, I've had at least a half a dozen different people send me your name.
I'll be them.
Yeah,
that's way cool.
Yeah, so that, you know, they like your pottery, but I guess they like you too.
Well, that's I always say, pun is I'm a legend in my own mind is whatever. But then they'll say, no, you're everybody's mind. I go, well, mine first.
Your work is really different, man. I mean, honestly, I think it's you can pick it out of the crowd. That's for sure.
Always, every time.
I want to jump back because when I moved away back in 99 or 98, I was gone for around 5 years, and then I moved back, and then I guess I started seeing your pottery, and I didn't really put two and two together with who you were. I just saw the work. And so I guess it was really around when social media started kicking off, I started seeing your picture associated with the work, and I went, oh, I know him. Or I don't know him, but I remember you going into Dad's video store.
Yes.
And I had no idea that you were... I didn't know were you into pottery back then?
Not until 96.
96, okay.
Yeah, that's when I started.
So what was the initial like spark with that for you? Or was it something you were always interested in, or was it just like one day?
Actually, I was. I'd picked up some clay, and my mom did painting of pots, you know.
Oh, really?
The kind that you just go. But that was a long time ago. But in 96, I was going to McNeese. I was working on a geology degree, and I was walking over there behind the art area, and there was some smoke burning, some leaves. So I just go check it out. These three little old ladies, they were raku firing, or I don't know, just pit firing, but using leaves as the fire source.
Pit firing?
Pit, P-I-T, kind of like cavemen.
You really?
Yeah.
So real kind of primitive.
Very primitive method.
Really?
And they just kind of like pulled me into their little covey.
Yeah.
And they just like were so sweet. And two of them are deceased. They were older already.
Yeah.
And then that was in 96. So do the math.
Yeah.
So, and they were old then. I'm saying old because now that I'm about 60.
Right. Back then. I get you. I do.
They were most probably 60 at the time. But, and then that was December of 95. January 96, I took my first class. And it was all from that? Yeah, I wouldn't have done it otherwise. They gave me a piece of clay. I took it home and I made a little something.
Brother, that is a legendary story.
It's pretty good.
I mean, you told that in less than 60 seconds, but it's like... I love stuff like that where you go, well, it's just a chance circumstance. You could have been walking by there an hour earlier, an hour later.
Yep.
It changed the whole course of your life.
Yep.
How wild is that? And then the idea of this, I don't even know what that looks like. A primitive pit firing. I mean, it just sounds like like you walked into a enchanted forest and there's a bunch of wizards,
There was a closed gate. You open the gate and there's all this weird stuff. Weird to me.
Yeah.
Now it's what I have at my house, as in
Is that
kiln shelves and bricks.
Oh yeah,
and kilns. But not doing it, it just looked like ooh.
And so, did you continue with the geology degree?
No.
So you shifted.
I took all but just 2 classes.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Those
you
were
really
the hard
shifted gears
classes.
big time.
Yeah. Well, not really. I actually kept doing both.
Really?
Yeah, because I was a student working. I had a full-time job.
Okay.
And I was taking 2 and 3 hours. Not hours, but classes.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting, man.
Yeah, it was great.
So you take the class and then you go through all of that. I mean, during school did you just like have the bug though? I mean, at that point where you're like, was it everything?
I was eat up with it. It was a time in my life where I needed to go hide somewhere.
Yeah.
And I literally did. I mean, I would be up there around the clock. A friend of mine once told me, she goes, all I see you do is walk around talking and drinking coffee. How can you make so much pots?
Yeah.
I go, once the building gets quiet,
Yeah.
then I turn it on,
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
so you get into a space then.
Yeah,
So was
Kinda
it like a
private?
Yeah, private. Was it like meditative, almost like therapeutic or something?
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine. I know the things that I've done in my life where I work with my hands. It takes you out of your mind almost to some degree, or maybe that's the wrong thing to say. Maybe it puts you in
your
it
mind.
more. Yeah, to be engaging with something like that. That's pretty wild, man. I'd love to have. I wish I could like rewind and actually see that. You know what I mean? So where do you go from there? I mean, so you get the bug, you just get in there and you're doing that late night.
And I'm just taking all these art, just mostly ceramics, and then they noticed me there, the art department, and they go, okay, you need to go ahead and take this class too. They'll help you do that.
Oh, really?
So I took a drawing class.
Yeah.
Ended up taking everything, drawing classes and painting classes, and
Got well rounded.
totally loved. If I'd have walked in the first day saying, look, which one do you pick? I'd took painting. I loved it. For one semester, like in my senior year, they forced me not to take any pottery classes because I had to take something else, another major.
Yeah.
And I took a painting class, and all them other students hated me
Really?
because I used that same energy of making all them pots. I would come every week. I would come to the showing or whatever it's called.
Like the opening or the...
Every Monday we'd get a new assignment. We'd get a new assignment on Monday to paint this. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just say a bowl. I would paint 2.
Okay.
Yeah. If she wanted 2, I'd make 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and most people would come to class with a half painted 1 because they weren't.
It sounds like passion.
It was just I was deep in it, and they wouldn't let me go over there.
Yeah.
So I'll show you.
Right.
But actually, I showed me.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, I painted, and I had so much fun. Actually, I painted several, like out of the history books, and I actually tried to paint them to size, as in I'd take the measurements and found out what they were, and then I would paint it. It looks like.
Oh, you were trying to like you were focusing on like the
master study.
Yeah, master study.
Oh yeah,
okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was like I got them hanging in my house, and they're like, I love it. And most people don't know it. They might have seen it once in the history book, but they forgot.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So it sounds to me, I mean, I'm just listening to this going, so how does this happen? I love stories like this where I love stories about change. Like that fascinates me. I mean, anytime someone makes a big move and it happens suddenly, especially when it's like a giant course, not maybe correction, or maybe it is a correction, I don't know, but I call it a hinge. So something happens where you like go, you know, and then all of a sudden everything shifts. It sounds like what you're describing is that.
Yeah, they forced me not to be a potter for a semester.
Oh, really? Okay,
And,
so
you know, so I had to paint.
well, how did it feel after that semester was over? Were you like hungry to go do?
Oh Lord, yeah.
And at that point, did you not have like your own equipment at home and stuff like that?
I never had no equipment at home ever. Until I graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't need to.
So you would
I had
go
total
home,
exposed.
and your mind's like thinking, "Man, I could do this," and I
Yeah,
could
well, technically at home I was painting. I was painting at home a lot.
really.
That I was doing.
So that you could do
Because I had all that stuff. I could easily bring paints.
Okay, so that sort of satiated that desire.
And then once, like for senior show, I ended up having a full-fledged art opening at Central School.
Okay.
With paintings and pottery for my senior show.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's typically everybody's show, you know, everybody that's graduating. But I had my own,
Okay.
two going on downtown. So
Yeah.
I was over at McNeese for a while, and then I went downtown to the Central School. So it was like killer bad, you know?
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I had a big show in Beaumont at the art studio.
Yeah.
And I had paintings and big pots that I made. I made a bunch. I was just still crazy deep.
Yeah. Well, it seems so fast too to me. I mean, of course, hearing the story, it's obviously
it was 6
condensed,
years from that 96. I graduated in 2002. 2004, I had that art opening
Yeah.
in Beaumont, and it was just like, whew.
And you know, and
Crazy.
man, and now, I mean, back then during that time period, I mean, you know, you're probably, and I'm guessing, I don't know, I know how communities are. When you're in your school community, you're kind of connected to your instructors and then the people inside of that sort of ecosystem there. But how long outside of the blast zone of that was it before your name was sort of on people's lips and they say Rex Alexander? Oh, I know who that is. I know his work.
Yeah.
I mean, what point does that start happening for you?
I don't know. I can't. It just started. I just started hearing it, like
Yeah.
you're saying. You know, and people go, "Oh my God!" And then even now, this person said, "Oh my God, that's Rex Alexander."
Yeah.
And I'm hearing it. I'm going, "Oh my God, this is so fun."
Is that the strangest thing?
Yeah.
Man?
So wow. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, and now, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, you say your name, everybody, that's just the way I perceive it. They know
And,
you.
and most of them have never met me. They've seen my pots, or a friend of them, got a pot, and they go, "Oh, I so want that."
Yeah.
You know that I love it.
Well, man, I mean, that's how I felt the first time. We have a couple of your pieces outside of the ones that you did for Parker Brand. But I remember the first time I saw somebody drinking out of one, I think I was actually at Stellar Bean.
Yeah.
It seems to be a big supporter of your work. Huh?
That's 100%
Yeah.
where I sell it.
Really? Is that your main avenue?
That is
Like, that's
that
your-
is my main. Unless you come to my house,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
or one of these downtown events that we do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody drinking out of one day, and I was like, I didn't have that cup. I had some other cup, and I was like, man, what is that? And so before they cleaned the table, I think they must have at some point served in your cups, or maybe they still do.
Oh, they still do.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they use them for service.
Service. Okay.
Mugs, bowls, plates.
Oh,
everything.
okay. So it's not just the mugs.
Yeah.
Well, I remember looking at that stamp, and I was like, okay, whoever made this, I want one of these. I didn't know that was you at that point, but I was, again, as things sort of saturate.
Yeah, that's a fun story too in itself. The T-Rex.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Well, my first day in my art ceramics classes, Cajun lady kept calling me T. Little T-Rex, T-Rex, and I'm in geology still, studying about T-Rexes, and time and geology.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, I thought, and I'll use the RX like the old drug symbol.
Pharmacies, yeah.
That's how the RX is on it.
Okay.
So then I made a stamp out of some clay, fired it, made two of them,
Yeah.
And I still use it. It's been them.
It's the same ones?
Same one.
Oh,
all
that's
this time.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, maker's mark, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of stuff. When I do find a piece somewhere, if you're in an antique store and you can tell it was thrown by hand, you know, or somebody made it, not just at a factory somewhere.
Yeah.
I always look for that to see who, I may not know what it means, but it's just, it gives you that.
More. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even like your work and reminds me, it fits into this category in my mind of other things that I really appreciate. And that's like metal work or leather work or woodwork, where you'll see the mark of the maker on there. You know, it's nice to have pieces like that don't come off of an assembly line. Yeah.
Well, before I ever did pottery, I tried to do blacksmithing.
Really?
Gathered up all the stuff, and it's for fire.
Yeah,
and
right.
But you had to. I was never taught by nobody. I just built the forge and everything, and that fire was so hot. It was so. I mean, it was like, golly, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I banged on some iron, and I got some pieces at the house that I made. And it just wasn't all that.
Really?
It was different.
And you hadn't done pottery before that?
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, so that was... So you already kind of... That's interesting, so...
Well, I was not maybe searching for something.
Yeah, you were searching for something.
But, yeah, I knew I was good with my hands.
Yeah.
With doing things like that, so...
So after you make this, I'm going to call it a discovery. Maybe that's the wrong... Or you have this big change, and I'm asking you to go back in time, obviously, but... Do you ever look back now, though, now that this is a solid part of your life and you're like, oh, this fits, this is who I am. Now do you go back prior to that moment where you met the three Norns, you know, around the cauldron?
Yeah.
Before you met them, do
Yeah.
you look back now at like your whole life and kind of go, okay, I can kind of see other things throughout my life that maybe winked at this might be coming down my path?
Well, yeah. One time... Daddy bought some sand and some clay was in it. There's always clay and sand, where they dig it. And I made some pipes because I'd seen like in the Indian mounds, like the Louisiana mounds, whatever. They had pipes and they had little figurines. So I was a kid, 12, 15, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you did have some things like that where that was already kind of. I love stuff like that because I tend to think of. I was listening to a guy speak the other day, and he was talking about that. It's that everything's kind of making you. And his example he used was that if somebody said, I want you to pick up this 400-pound object or 300-pound object. Well, at the capacity you have right now, you can't go pick that up. If they put it on you, it's going to break you. He said, but over time, if you do the things, you will eventually be able to do it. Yeah. And he said, and that's kind of what life is ultimately doing to you, is it's making you better for a purpose. Yeah. You know, giving you all the tools to kind of fulfill this role that's yours, you know. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. And I thought of it more like a, almost like a old, like a seed or something that's underneath the ground where, you put it in the ground and you go, okay, well, I don't see anything coming up, and then all of a sudden, you know, this time passes and you're going, where'd all this come from? You know, it's just germinating. Yeah.
I watched a video. I still love art of all the kinds, and I was watching this blacksmith working big old like 4x4 solid pieces of iron, and he was talking about it. That when it's hot like that, his machines could work it just like clay.
Oh, wow.
So then that was kind of like reverse of me.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
It is.
Taking something really hard and making...
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then when it dries, you know, because he was just had that machine and he would just push it in and then squish it down and then slide over, make a different design. Yeah. And these big old huge, you know, it's like making... It was just... awesome, and it still applies to me like this, even though, you know, I have a little ball and make it, and it's soft, then I cook it. So
I mean,
I just felt something there.
I can see that, man. I mean, look, not to get too far out there, but I mean, I'll go as far as anybody's willing to go. But I mean, I think there's a lot of metaphors in shaping of clay and shaping of an object. I mean, and in making something and bringing something, taking this raw good, this base material, and then out of that base, so many varieties of things can be formed. I mean, it can be art. Each piece could be art, but then they also have a purpose and a use. Mm-hmm. You know, that's
that's kind of why I stick to that.
Yeah.
All my work is functional, but it's still, you can hang it on the wall too. Like my bowls, I make the lip on the foot to where you can tie a rope. Well, I use wire rope. And I got them. I'm hanging them on the wall. Yeah. We need one. Take it down, use it. Put it back up.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And it's art.
Do you ever think about that? Like that maybe we maybe are missing something sometimes if it's just to be looked at and not to be interacted with?
I've actually told people, if you're not going to use it, give it back.
Oh, yeah.
As in, it's something to be used. They go, oh, I got your mug. It's sitting on the shelf. Why we don't use it? I go, wait. I want it back. If you're not going to use it,
right?
It's made to be used.
And I'm happy, I know it.
If you're like me, then you've got a long wish list of things you need to do around your house, things you just can't get to. It's not that I don't want to do them, but between my responsibilities at work, producing this show, and squeezing in some valuable mental downtime, I can't seem to get around to fixing the small stuff, and the big stuff is just waiting in line. To be honest, it kind of stresses me out. Maybe you're stressing out too. Well, stress no more, because I've got good news. My friend Ben Von Duke has started a handyman service, and he takes the mystery out of getting these things done. Ben Von Duke is not just some guy that calls himself handy. He knows what he's doing, and he knows a whole lot. Not only is he an experienced and professional carpenter, but he's kind of a duke of all trades. What I love is that he's created an a la carte price list of services, so you don't have to worry about getting in your pockets too deep before you're ready. He'll fix your running toilet, install appliances, replace fixtures, install ceiling fans, repair sheetrock and concrete, and a whole lot more than that. Look, I'm not too proud to say this, but sometimes it takes me 3 times as long to fix something because I've got to get online and search videos just to figure out what tools I need. Then I have to go buy the tools that I don't have, and then kind of sort of come home and do the job. I don't have to do that anymore because Ben Von Duke will do it and do it better. On top of all that, he's just a good person, someone you can trust. He's honest, he's kind, and those are things that I value highly, and I bet you do too. You can get a hold of Ben Von Duke, the Duke of all trades, the good old-fashioned way, by using the phone. Call or text Ben at 337-540-1355. That's 337-540-1355. He'll send you his service and price list, and trust me, his prices are more than fair. And do me a favor, when you do message Ben at 337-540-1355, tell him you heard about the Duke of all trades on Find the Good News. Isn't that what life really is about?
You can always put pencils
engaged.
in it. If the handle breaks off, put pencils in it.
Oh, yeah, look, man, I got one of them over here.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's
what I'm
perfect.
saying. And people love this mug. I mean, we use it for
that
pencils.
is a great mug.
Oh, yeah, I mean, look at that. And people go, whoa. And
What?
I got to fill it with pencils. Yeah, I mean, I like that sentiment, that made to be used. I mean, and you can say that with a negative connotation that something's being used, but I think you can look at it from like a engagement perspective. Like in life, or should be engaged in things, right? I mean, not just set on a shelf. You know, I've even think about that sometimes when it comes to like going on a retreat. It's retreats are nice to get away and to kind of disengage from the world and like shut down, and you can go find a nice quiet place, and that is healing. But to stay in that place away from the world is almost
cheating.
It's cheating, right? Because that's not what life is.
Yeah, that's fun, but
yeah, it's
you got to do
temporary.
that every day. You
Right.
gotta find a way.
So yeah, the fusion of beauty and actual engagement in the world, kind of as it is pretty cool.
But one of my heroes of all times is George Orr.
I don't know who that is.
He was like 1899, potter extraordinaire, super self-taught. His daddy was a blacksmith, Biloxi, I believe.
Okay.
And he was the Mad Potter.
Now what's the Mad?
The Mad Potter of
I'll have to
Biloxi.
look that up.
And he would like people would want to buy his stuff, but he wouldn't want to sell it. Or once he'd sell it, he'd chase after him to give it back. I'll give you money back, because these are my babies. I birthed it.
Oh wow! So he had a hard time parting with that.
Yeah, and I do too. And that's why, if you're not going to use it, I need it.
Yeah,
I birthed it.
I get that.
You was talking about metaphors. Well, this is a piece of art, and it was just a piece of clay, but I made it come to life, and it has all my energies in it.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to use it, I need it back.
That's interesting.
Because you're abusing my baby. Take care. Use my baby.
Yeah, you use it
it's
for
made to be used. It's made to be used.
I love that.
Even a vase. Vases are great. You got something in it. You're using it. That is useful.
It's interesting, man, because I have the same feeling about certain things. Like I make things. I mean, I make prayer beads and like rosaries and things like that. But I typically make them out of a batch of wood, from a special place or something. And so when I make them, I usually keep them for a while, and I have a hard time parting with them. I make them to give away, but there are some that I when I go on retreat every year, I make a couple of different ones on that retreat, and every year I go, okay, I'm just waiting for who it belongs to. And I don't know
that's
who.
Cool.
It's weird, man.
I understand that too. I've been at events where I'd see somebody they'd come back, they'd walk around the table 3 times, and I'd just say, look, you just take that.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
And they go, no, I'll pay you. No. You need that.
It's
part.
theirs.
You need it. You've been, and it's something just like this one. Most people would go, it's got a bend on it right there. It's just not perfect. I go, well, neither am I.
It is odd, man. I talk about this subject a lot. I mean, with people in my life about objects. I have certain possessions, and some of them are not mine. They were given to me, like my dad's hammer. When my father passed away, the first thing I went to look for was this one specific hammer. And I found it, and you couldn't give me a treasure of any monetary value to part with that. And it's nothing to somebody else. It's just an old hunk of steel with barely a few leather bands left on it. But it's like the history of the man is infused in the object. And and what's
in
crazy,
your mind.
In my mind,
and it's true.
And there's and what's strange about that is I think, like, if I had a heart attack today and nobody knew the value of that, to me, it'll just be
it'd be sitting on the road.
Yeah, it's not
somebody
just
will pass by and throw it in the back of their truck. And end up at the dump.
Right? And I just go, the value diminishes without the connection to a person. Isn't that something?
But nobody, if they don't know about it.
Yeah, right. But see, with your work, I mean, unless somebody just finds it at a thrift store,
actually.
Right?
Somebody has found mine at a thrift store
in
Arkansas, and they brought it back to me. They paid $0.25 for it. It was a bowl.
Holy cow, man!
Yeah, and I was just freaking out. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Dude.
It came back home.
Hey, look, I'll show you something that's like that. You see that little clear mug right there? Those videos. From somebody it was at Care Help.
I'll be darned.
And somebody said, hey, I saw this at Care Help the other day. Now that's probably 30 years old now. Isn't that crazy? And he comes home. Cool. That is an awesome story, man.
Yeah.
So somebody actually. What are the odds of that?
But how to get there? It's travels, and then it was like you said, somebody died. It just was stuff.
Yeah.
It's just we don't want it.
Yeah.
Just make it go away. You cared to the person that maybe died.
Right.
For all we know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then, and it's back in your
came back
care.
It's now back in the attic somewhere, hidden away, and when I die, they'll find it.
Isn't that something? I don't know. I guess in some regards, man. I mean, doing what you do, you're leaving a mark. I mean, a literal mark.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. I've been told that that's kind of vainish too.
To have the mark on them?
Yeah, some people feel like that's kind of vain.
That's interesting.
But then I think, no, I think it's okay.
I think
because
so.
it gives them a time frame. They'll be able to, because a lot of my stuff, I even write the dates.
Now, I think that's interesting. I got to pause right here. So you're an artist and a creative. I find that so interesting that somebody would ever say that to you, that's vanity to put your mark on something. I mean, I know what I think vanity is, and I have my own definition. I would never consider a creative or an artist putting their mark on their work vanity in any capacity. Maybe if there was a scale of vanity, it's somewhere, almost indiscernible.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty common for an artist to leave their mark on their work.
And if you find a piece of art and there's no name on it, you go, it's not, I can't find no source,
Yeah.
I've looked at pots and it's like there's production, but it's not production. It's got energy in it.
Yeah.
But then they didn't mark it, or they scribbled their name to where you can't even read it.
Yeah. And I like
don't
that
like
because
that.
yours is a mark. It's like a brand.
Yeah, that is a brand. But like on big bowls, I write my name and date in Lake Charles, Louisiana, USA, because we're only here 100 years, 300.
Yeah.
Thousands, 10,000s. They find pottery shards, and that's how they know people lived here.
Yeah. I'm amazed
From the
by that,
past.
man. We watched it's come up on here a few times. We watched the Oak Island History Channel show, and that's actually been some of the things that they found. It's funny because they're looking for treasure, but what they end up finding 100, 300 feet down are like these little pieces of pottery, and there are people who know, like just out of less than an inch big piece of pottery, and there's somebody in the world who knows what these little markings are, and they're like, oh, this is from this time period that dates this excavation and stuff, and that's fascinating.
Well, it's the footage, earth.
Or it'll be like really fascinating, like why is that thing from this time period that far
How to get over
underground?
here.
Yeah, how to get here. So it puts some geography too.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating how
it's
humans
super
leave marks like that. Well, yeah, anytime you see, the span of your life, I don't know, man, that's really, on one hand, it's kind of like it definitely puts your mortality on things, but at the same time, it kind of immortalizes you too, because it says at this time period between this year and this, if these pieces existed,
Even
and then
though in the big world, it's this boat.
you were like a spike in a chart,
It was just
and that's it.
Like a blade of grass.
Yeah, just a little volcano on a chart. You're up and down.
Then now the rest of the world keeps churning.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of all of us, I guess. But if you're lucky enough to have that passion like you do, and to get the bug to create, you can leave something behind.
Paintings. There are paintings that are 400 years old, but a lot of them been repainted. Didn't you just hear about the painting that they're taking all the paint off and they're finding another whole painting underneath it?
Yeah, I saw something about
The
that.
lady reading a letter or something in the window.
Yeah, what
that
was
was
that? And they were cleaning it, right, or something, and they revealed something underneath.
There was like a whole nother part painting, almost the same, but more alive.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And it's like, again, that's 300, and they repainted it.
Yeah.
3,000, and it looked the same. Ceramics.
Well, the other day, I was in Lake Charles, and I stopped by, is it Hippie Gypsy Grocer, I think?
North corner, yeah.
Yeah, and my son's art teacher, Julie Dallas, had some pieces for sale in there. And I had just had a lady on the podcast who was talking about drinking tea almost as a way to sort of take a break from the world and like consciously brewing it and pouring it. And she said, get a special cup.
Yep.
And so we had just had that episode, and I stopped in there and I saw Julie had some cups, and she had 2 cups that were similar.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'm going to use these as our specialty cups, and try to support her in that way. And at the same time, it's even more special because it's that history, it's that time period. My son's in her class, and I'll always remember this little particular time period. It immortalizes that in your mind. And then every time now, until I can't drink no more, if I sip tea out of that cup, it'll always kind of bring you back.
Yeah.
That's pretty special, man. What about the influence that you've had? I mean, is that something that you can perceive, or that you, I guess, what's the right way to frame that? I mean, obviously you are mentoring other potters and other people in ceramics and things like that, correct? I mean, I see you working with a lot of people, young people out in the community.
Well, I do. We've done lots of events like that, but not personally. But
yeah, but I'm sure there's
always that one watching you.
Yeah. There's
always somebody watching you.
Yeah.
I was told that, like, no matter what you're doing, there's 7 people watching you.
So whether you're consciously doing it, it's just being in your presence and watching you work. It seems to me there's like a whole element to your work, though, that the public probably doesn't get to see, right?
And that's the rest of the story. And that's, I think, one of my favorite parts of ceramics versus like whenever I was doing the ironworks. The whole process is the part I love the most. I love the making part, and that's what everybody sees, and that's why they go, "Ooh, I want a ghost. I want to do the ghost thing." Okay, ghost.
Wait.
We're sitting around. Sitting at the wheel, the husband.
Ghost. The movie. Okay,
Ghost.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the new ghosting word is you quit calling. Yeah, I forgot about that word, ghost.
No, that's why I was like, what is that? I thought maybe there was something no, the movie.
Movie Ghost that everybody, I say, I do ceramics. They go, ooh, like Ghost?
Like the Unchained Melody thing.
It costs you extra now.
People still do that.
They still say
it. God, that's crazy how iconic that was.
Still, yeah.
That's awesome. Funny. That's some people's whole worldview of pottery, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, like Ghost.
That's the only touch they have of it, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
And they got grandma's fine china that they don't ever use. Take it down, use it every day. It's fine china. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Use it. Remember grandma.
Right.
Don't just and then die. Never have used it.
Yeah.
You took all the character out of it.
I love this. I love this whole. I didn't expect this to be the angle of our conversation, but I love that that's the theme that we keep talking about is use.
Use it. Yeah.
You know, I think about my own life that way sometimes. It's a lot of what's gotten me through hard times. It is not like, oh, you're being used. That's that negative connotation, but there's this idea that, and I don't know. Again, I guess there's a lot of different ways you can look at it, but I look at life as saying, okay, I have this life and I have whatever abilities I have. Use me for whatever purpose. Give me something to do, to engage with people.
What's its purpose? To hold liquid.
Yeah.
This mug. So give it purpose.
Right.
Let it do its job.
Yeah.
It's now doing its job.
The beautiful thing I think about people is that sometimes your purpose changes, right? You form, and maybe you're a cup one day, but you might be a bowl at other times.
And you got to watch out for the non-cup makers, the negative people. Do
you ever encounter that through art and creativity?
Yeah. Well, those are the ones that say I can get that at Walmart for $1.
Okay.
I say go.
Yeah.
You need to step aside. You're blocking the view of somebody that really wants art.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get that. Well, I mean, look,
same thing for painting.
Look, I mean, this cup, our cups for the show, they're manufactured in a plant.
Yep.
I mean, there's
probably Brazil.
Comes off of some assembly line somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and you go, well, is there no life in there? Is there nothing to it? You know, and if a machine's making it and stamping it, I mean, you know, it's kind of. It's different, but this isn't art. This is just it's a utility.
It's totally
all utility.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about, and what I think what we're talking about as far as being used, is sort of almost like the fusion of spirit and the physical together. You know, a good balance of both those things. I derailed what you were saying, though. You were talking about the second part about when you said people want to do the ghosting, and then they only see the part where you're doing the wet works, I guess.
And then it has to dry a little bit. Then you got to put a handle on it, and you got to learn how to do that. You got to make it to where it fits your hand, my hand. And if it don't fit my hand, I don't know whose hand it matters. You know, people go, well, that don't fit my hand right. They'll go, well, find one that does. Because they're all different, but they're all the same. You know, I made every one of them. That's the sameness. but every mug's different. Some are bigger, some are smaller.
Yeah.
And the way it just was made at the time. And some people go, oh, just the way it in my hand, it just feels so perfect. I go, but then you found the perfect mug.
You know, man, listening to you talk about this, I can see why. I mean, if you go read, like the Torah and all the ancient Hebrew scriptures, a lot of that language they use about God as a potter, and the shaped you from clay, and the descriptions you're using just fit. Like, I can see why
they use it.
Use it. Yeah. I mean, you're saying, they're all made by me, but they're all different too. So they're same because I created them, but they're different. And then that's like
you can say, you can bring that to another building with a point on it. You're bringing that.
I mean, I just think it makes sense why those ancient writers would find that same meaning in there, because even as I'm listening to you talk like that, I'm going, this is you're an actual potter who is speaking this way from your heart. So I can see where that passionate language comes from.
I've had preachers and come take some pots, broken ones and fresh ones, and using it as in, we're not broken, we all are broken, but look, it can be.
That's funny. You were talking a minute ago, I was thinking about a retreat I went on, and there was something they did like that where at the beginning of the retreat, there was a pot. It was just a clay pot, and then at some point during the retreat, they sort of smashed the pot to pieces, and then they put it back together, to show that you were formed, maybe you're broken, but you can still be put back together. In that regard, do you ever do any work where you've had broken pieces that you've made something out of, or do you just start from scratch? Or have you ever utilized anything like that?
To some degree, I have a little bit, but whenever I was in training during school, my professor was like, it's a whole lot faster just to make another one. The way he... But then there have been times I know I've spent lots of hours just trying to maybe think of a way to salvage it, like drill holes and once it's cooked, leather, strap it together. Weird stuff.
Just to make something new out of it.
Yeah, it would still be.
How much experimenting do you do still? I mean, to this day, do you still find yourself experimenting with new things, or have you kind of found your rhythm?
I think I found my rhythm, and every once in a while, when people come up to me and they go, "Hey, would you make this?" I'll use that as my focal for that, like you're just asking. Like I'll go, "Okay, cool, I'll try that." I never wanted to make that, but I will. You don't have to buy it. I'll just make it.
That's interesting. I mean, in a way, so you do custom work too, like what you did for us. It's like, hey, all we have is we'd like them to be this color, and maybe if you can put our symbol in there, and then you go from there, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Do you ever do any projects like that where it's a commission type work, where you've done, the clients had some vision of their own that they want you to take?
And that's the good and the bad there, because sometimes they don't give me freedom, and they want it to be their way, like a rock. They should have went to the Brazilian guy over here that sold you this.
Yeah, it's going to be...
They really didn't want
the cups
this.
Are gonna, yeah, right.
Really. So actually, this one particular group, I ended up making 2 sets, because the first set, I kind of did it my way, color-wise, and it was a Mardi Gras theme, and it was Mardi Gras, but it wasn't the exact true colors. Those solid,
whatever that means.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
So I kind of vowed, but I keep breaking my vow to not do that no more.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to me.
Sure.
Because I'm not doing this for a living. I'm doing this for fun, to live.
Well, that's a good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
If I was doing this to pay bills and keep food on the table, I'd make that color. I'll do that.
Sure.
But I don't have to. I don't want to.
Yeah. See,
it's always been like that.
I get that, and that's a pain, because I think sometimes I go through this, and I've talked about it on the show at length. People are probably sick of hearing about it, but I mean, I think it's easy to forget that someone like me is an artist.
Yeah, this is art.
we do have to feed ourselves, and this is how we do
Yeah.
it. And so a lot of times sometimes you make 90% concessions, you know, so
Yeah.
like you might get 10% of what you actually originally started with out the door. And that, people can say what they want. You've got to be cold as ice to not let that bother you, because if you're a creative, at some point on some level it erodes. Like it's like just an old battery, man, that's just leaking somewhere. And so, you know, I have to make conscious efforts to go to tell myself, go to the next project, just keep going. You know, it's a little bit different than doing it out of passion, you know. But there are times when you get those projects where you go, hey, I can really do something passionate here.
When they say do it like this, but just at your will, at your freedom, I normally, I'd say 99% of the time, it turns out exactly the way they wanted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus these people that say, well, it's got to be blue and it's got to have this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand that. I call them like lightning strikes. A lot of times, usually at this very table we're talking about, if I'm with a client and they've kind of got an idea, sometimes I feel like there's two programs running. I have one that's engaged in the meeting and it's listening. And then there's the other part, and I've always called that like the creative engine going. It starts thinking about their project and going, we could do this and we could do that. And it's getting a picture. And sometimes in those meetings, I'll go, hey, what about this? And just start drawing on the whiteboard, and they'll go, that's it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Those are the projects where it comes to life. It looks better.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
that was
really,
the right way it should.
Yeah.
Versus it has to be the Mardi Gras colors in this order.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
so what I did to be rude, I was actually being rude, but it looked really great. I actually put, when I did the ones that they wanted with their colors, I painted on gold, outlining the fleur-de-lis, because
Okay.
they wanted stamped fleur-de-lis.
Okay.
And I really don't like doing that. But
just stamping.
Yeah, and I made the stamps.
Okay,
I
right.
made the stamps.
You
so
did
they're
it for
mine.
us too, right?
Yeah,
You
I made
made
your
that,
stamp. Yeah. So then I highlighted around it with the gold to like give them the, you know what I mean? Like
You dig them the extra stamp.
yeah. But technically, they look super great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It turned out it was, you know, I was trying not to say be mean, but
It ended up looking.
phenomenal. Yeah, they were great. But
Yeah.
it's the idea that I don't do that. I don't like having to be told to do it just like that. But I already committed to them.
Yeah.
So I turned around, made 100 more, you know, and did it their way. But out of spite, I went ahead and
Did it.
put some gold on it. Because it's not one of the three colors.
Yeah.
But it is, because it's yellow, or is it gold?
It's supposed to be gold.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
when I put that real gold on it, because I can't paint gold.
Right. I think, God, man, you're talking. It's funny how
Yeah.
we deal with those things like perception of color. And it's an interesting meditation and thought experiment. But years ago, I was working at a sign company, and I had they had sent a logo in. And I mean, I was nobody at that company. I was just printing late at night, you know, and I was printing these signs out. And when the client came back to pick them up, they said, this is not burgundy, it's brown. And I said, it's we printed what it was. And they said, our logo is burgundy, not brown. And I said, I don't know. And I went and pulled the color swatch, and I said, I mean, this is burgundy. And they were like, well, that's burgundy, but on that sign, that's brown. And but it was the same color. And so I went out to the computer and I took the same color and I took a graphic of a wine glass and I put it in the glass. And then I took a graphic of an oak tree and I put the same color on the trunk. And I said, so which one of these is brown? She said, the tree, that one's brown, that's burgundy. And I was like, ma'am, these are the exact same color. Your perception is shifting.
Because it's not
Yeah.
in a glass.
And and it was a fascinating, it blew my
Way cool
mind,
idea.
man,
Way
how
cool.
we can perceive something like off, you know. There are certain blues that I find are like that too, where someone will go, I don't like that purple. I'm like, that's just not purple.
Yeah.
You know, but if you put it next to an LSU Tiger, it looks purple, but if you put it in a, you know, a fruit basket, it's blue. So I don't know. It's people are funny, but that yellow is one of those things where athletic gold is what at times I'll hear, and I'm like, Well, that's really just like school bus yellow or something. That's not gold, but
but are they orange? I don't know.
You're right, exactly. Yeah, how far?
And like your orange, speaking of, I wasn't keen on just making it your.
We don't
color.
have a. Yeah, well, you
know what I mean?
notice that was my rule when we opened, Rex. I said our brand color is going to be orange with a big quote around it, and it's going to be every shade of orange. Because man, if you get into that zone where it's like
so tight.
You're never gonna,
never gonna
hit that target. Every printer is gonna always be off.
Yeah.
Every batch is gonna look wrong because you just got this standard.
I had to change it whenever I did that. So I made it.
Well, some people
special.
could say that's brown, right?
Oh yeah, it's totally brown.
But I mean, in my mind, I see orange.
Yeah, it's.
When you look at it on this table of orange things, it looks orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Perception's interesting. I mean, and I guess that's the same way with art. Thinking about your art, I think about the you brought Lid up at the beginning, and that was another. Your art kind of almost is in that category. I find with her art too, where I can't even imagine a client going to her and saying, "I want you to paint this."
They
because
will.
her art's
They
not
will.
that way. It's not.
Yeah.
It flows a different way.
It don't go with my couch.
Yeah.
That's what that's like. I'll make a vase, and it's not that's not the color of my. It's like. Sorry.
It's interesting because I've never, and we've talked about this in this conversation, but I've always, and that's I guess different people, but for me, I've always been more interested in an object's story than its aesthetic. Does that make sense? I mean,
How about it?
you can look around here, and you ain't seen nothing that matches, right?
Well, that's good.
But if you picked
Energy also.
something up and said, "What's this?" I can tell you a story about it. And so you may only be interested in two things in this room, but those two things I can sit and talk to you, and then that lets us engage. And I don't know. I think stories are the value to me. Even if it's just a story of I'm drinking out of a T-Rex mug, and someone says, "Man, that's a cool mug." Oh, I can tell you about the man, who made the mug.
I can tell you where to go get it.
Yeah, right. Arkansas.
If
25 cents.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but and I keep going back to this, but so what's the side that people don't see, the fire part?
Yeah, that.
Tell me about that.
I try to post pictures, but that is the scary part because I fired
Looks
twice.
hot, brother.
It's way hot. 1900 degrees is the first firing, and then I go to 2350, that's lava. That's the.
And that's at your house? You have a studio, you have a kiln at home? Is that where you...
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of heat.
It's a lot of heat, but if you got the right machinery, your kiln, it holds it. That's what it's for.
Do you ever fire other people's work?
Yes, but I try not to because unless they used my clay, I know where their clay came from.
I see.
Because not all clay is created the same.
Interesting, man. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, totally. There's low fire clay, and I cook to high fire.
Okay.
2350 is high fire.
So somebody could bring a piece in there that has the wrong clay and it could just bust, right? Or crack,
it'll melt.
It'll melt.
Melt flat like glass. It'd be just a puddle.
Really?
And I've seen that happen.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So that's one of my first rules: is buy my clay if you're firing in my kiln.
Do you order clay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I know nothing about this. You have to forgive my ignorance.
It comes in a box. Yeah.
Is it from a certain place, like a quarry, or what is it?
It's in a building where they get different bags of different kinds of material.
Okay.
Feldspars and silicas, and they mix it to a recipe that's to my liking.
Yeah.
But they make all kinds.
So you've got a custom clay?
No.
Oh.
I like porcelain. I've been throwing porcelain
I got you.
About, I'd say, I don't know, 10 years now.
Okay.
I finally got to where I could throw porcelain.
What's the difference? What was the difference to you?
The one before that was stoneware. And it could be just as soft, but it was more gritty. And it was easier to work with and pull up, and I could make them tall and make them thin. And the first time I tried to ever use porcelain, it was just, I thought I had it thin, but once it finished and cooked, it was as thick as this, and I thought it was thin as this.
Really?
You know what I mean?
And that's
because the way it felt. And I couldn't put a handle on it because I just wasn't good enough. I just hadn't matured enough.
Interesting.
To make a handle stick on porcelain. And I every once in a while I'll try again, and I finally it finally worked. It started, and so now pretty much all glasses and vases and bowls and plates are all porcelain.
All porcelain.
And like big vases, I still use stoneware. It's actually called raku clay, so it can go from low fire for rakuing to super high.
What's a raku?
Raku is a Japanese firing where the pots are cooked up to like 1800 degrees.
Okay.
And they grab them out of the fire and dash them either in water or put them in a pot of sawdust.
Yeah.
So they oxidize there. So it's a whole nother form of art.
Wow, man.
Julie Dallas and I have done.
Y'all done that?
Yeah, we've done that. She loves doing that.
Really?
And Tracy over at the Art Factory, she does that even.
Okay.
So
I've never heard of it.
It's another whole. Actually, we did it one time at one of the art walks years and years ago, long time, over there by Central, by the Children's Museum.
Yeah.
They asked us to do it, so we brought all our stuff and rakued right there on the spot.
That's cool, man.
During the walk,
What a neat thing for somebody to see.
So it's got a 20-minute turnaround, so it's glazed, and then in 20 minutes, it's coming out and it's cool. It's warm, but it's cooling down, and you can take it off and walk away in 20 minutes versus this regular mug here. I got to cook it for 10 hours. It takes 24 hours to cool down.
Yeah.
The whole kiln,
So when you're out there doing public works like that on the sidewalk for an art walk or an event, and you're doing that work, what happens? Are you actually making things that you're going to fire later?
Totally.
Okay.
I'm just zoning in that. That is, yeah. Because I used to think, well, I use that time as to make pots.
Okay.
That's it. I do, like, I'll try to make 10 to 20 mugs. I'll make some bowls. I'll make some large bowls, platter likes. People like seeing them all.
Yeah.
And my main objective is to have them fired up for the next event that I'm going to do.
And then you go back and then you choose the color later, right?
Oh, it's all me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
I just wondered about that because some people, I guess in a sense, a painting you could paint on the spot and then hand it off to somebody.
Yep.
I guess in
we've
theory.
gone to an event like that just recently at Tracy's place.
Oh, okay.
At the Art Factory.
Yeah.
And after the showing, these two ladies, they were painting, and we bought one of their paintings.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They kind of like auctioned it off to kind of like help proceeds, for the event.
So it kind of makes sense for you to set up in front of Stellar Beans and do that because if that's where you're selling some of your work or a lot of your work, then
it's inside. Go in there and make sure you ask to drink out of a T-Rex mug.
Yeah.
And you get a free refill too.
How do you feel that? Do you really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's the only way to get a refill.
Well, Carl and Chelsea were on the show too. Yeah. So I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have asked them about that.
They got a little sign that the only way to get a free refill is to
own a T-Rex
mug.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about the art community in Southwest Louisiana? So you started, you got the bug in '96.
Yeah.
So you've kind of been around to see it blossom and turn into where it is today. How has it changed from then to now? Is it different or is it more robust or just different?
It's just different. There's just recently seen a man painting down there in front of at the corner.
Yeah, I saw that.
I've seen him twice, and then I seen him maybe posted somewhere, and I thought that's super great, young man, out there painting on the spot. That's super great energy. That's like whenever I'm setting out making pots, it's the same. It's bringing people to see something different.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a foreign country to see somebody paint.
That's right.
We do it here. You can paint anywhere.
On Frenchman Street in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You've been there? Man,
Yeah.
that is a great art scene on that street. I hadn't heard of that place a couple of years ago. Somebody said,
Yeah.
"Oh, don't go to go to this street. Go get you a place over there for the weekend."
Yeah.
And we did, and that's all we wanted to do. Is just go. That whole way they've got that organized. There's an energy in there, man. And then you get to just love visiting with the vendors and people doing all kinds of things. Wire work. I mean, just woodwork, all right there. And I thought, man, we could use a dose of that at home. You know, like a really get something.
You say that, but we've tried to do it, and nobody should.
Well, that was my next thing.
The just how do you get the word out? How do you drag them out of their house once they put their PJs on? They're not coming.
Yeah.
You know, we'd have to.
So what do you think?
Go to your house and just like do it on your steps, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll walk out there and grab your paper and they're doing art here. There's artists in this town.
Yeah.
Wow, didn't know that. Well, been here for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Tom Trahan and I were talking about that at the Brimstone over there, and he said there are people still who go in there who live in Sulphur their whole life, and they'll walk in and go, "I had no idea."
What? This place even existed.
Yeah, they drove
and then
by
these people live in this town and have been making art. Yeah.
It's the same thing with, I don't know if you've ever been to Adventure Point over here in Sulphur, the tourist. They've got an incredible walk-through outdoor adventure display. I mean, it's a really state-of-the-art thing. I love bringing my son up there, but I'll tell people about it, and they go, "Well, what is that place?" I'm like, "God, you really just need to stop."
Yeah.
There's something, there is some kind of a disconnect here, and I don't know what it is, but I get you, because I think those thoughts when I go out of town and see things. I think a lot of people think those thoughts. They go, "How can we do this
Bring
at
this
home?"
here.
And there are people working, trying to, but it's getting people to. I don't know. I think some of that's going to have to change when we have less of a commuting community and more of a walking community. We just don't have.
That's happening right now.
It is happening
Right now, downtown.
Downtown.
They're building all that new.
Yeah,
We
it'll
got a
change.
bunch of great things there, and I mean, yes.
I mean, you
they'll
can
be
just go.
walking
I don't have to drive everywhere.
Yep. Or we can get a bicycle, or we can get the guy that's pedaling the little bicycle.
Right.
In Lake Charles, you know.
So you figure someone like me, I can look at my own life and analyze that and tell you, okay, I live in Sulphur. I have a high interest in art and creativity, and I love that kind of stuff. But the logistics of going to that, especially now with bridge situations, I'm like, well, if we're going to do anything, and if it's after 5 o'clock, and if it's on a Friday, and then I go home, get the kids ready, bring them, you just go,
nope.
Okay, so what? So then my next option is to do it here in Sulphur. Well, Sulphur doesn't have even near. You've got the Brimstone,
and they're trying hard. They work
do.
hard.
They really do.
Have great work. They have works for men and women.
Oh yeah,
and
but once you go and you spend the time there and you do the look, you're only going to go maybe once. If you go twice, I don't know, but once is really what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So it's hard. You just go, what's the magic? What's the magic piece here?
What is the magic? We've seen everything, tried everything,
Yeah,
different ways.
and you've been in it long enough. You've seen it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You ever have artists that get discouraged because of that
yeah.
and don't stick around the area?
Well, a lot of them try to start moving out, not physically, but just their art. They'll be setting up in Lafayette like every other weekend because there is that foot traffic down there on that every other Saturday where they have and it's so they just say go forget you Lake Charles, sorry. Yeah. But here's my work. If you want to see it, it's in Lafayette.
Yeah, I've even thought this, and this is probably sounds really negative, and I don't have a lot of knowledge about it, but just my own thought of it. One time I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said, we do have a lot of incredible artists here, and we have a high frequency of festivals, a lot more than anywhere else, really, along the I-10 corridor. Lake Charles is number one for the number of festivals per weekend. Yeah, and so the thing I have noticed is when people want to make their event engaging and interesting, so what are they going to do? They're going to bring in all the local artists, and that's almost every time. Well, if you're a local and you've engaged with all the local artists 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. No, that is no slight on the quality of their art or anything. But as a, if you're not an artist and you're just a consumer and you've consumed it,
how many times
can you do it? Right. And that, again, I said that to somebody and they were like, well, and I said, well, I think they took it the wrong way. And I said, no, I'm not saying that the artists are not of value. I'm just saying eventually there comes a saturation point where that can't always be, you got to have to do something with your festival or event to make it enticing for those artists. Because if the artists are selling to the exact same crowd, it's kind of going to a comedy show and you guys telling you the same jokes
every time, right? He has to come up with some new jokes.
Yeah,
true.
So as an artist, that's difficult because how many pieces can you just like constantly push the envelope? To get entice the same audience to buy another piece.
I'm with you there.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
I don't know.
It is. That is true. There's a lot of that, but then some people just don't buy.
Yeah.
Because I've had people that I've given them a piece like 20 years ago, and they go, "Oh, I still got that," and I think about it, and that's just the greatest thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen you buy one more piece.
Yeah.
What's up with that? What are you buying? I'm hoping you're buying somebody's art.
Right.
If you're not buying mine. Yeah. And are you puffing me?
Right. Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. It's hard. And this is a real conversation we're having here because I think about that a lot. I see art and I go, man, that is incredible, a local piece of art. And I'm just going to use a painting. Let's say it's a painting and I go, man, I love that. And I know it's of the value that it is, but the reality of my bank account
says I can't have that.
I can't have that. So who gets to have that? And somebody who has the money for it, maybe not the full appreciation always. Just because you had the money don't mean you appreciate it.
Yeah. Well.
So it's a weird thing. So you go the frequency. Now, every once in a while, a local artist will have a thing where, and I love it when they do that, unfortunately, because I have, a little T bank account, but they'll go, I did these small pieces and they're kind of priced to sell almost. And I go, well, I want their art.
Yeah.
So I'll get the small piece because that's what I can afford,
There's a little bitty eye.
Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah. Stuff like that. And I go, well, it isn't what I want, but it's what I can get. And that's another issue.
There's a lot of truth there.
Because I'd love to have it all. And again, that's what's the hard thing about being an artist. I mean, even like what we do, it's the same way. I mean, it's so silly because I'm gonna compare a logo to art to like what you do, but like you could spend 60 hours on a logo if you're really, really working with that client to get it perfect. What's the value of that? Ultimately, what can I get is different than what it may be worth, right?
And then is the business really going to make it? Just because you did a super great job.
Yeah, exactly. And so the value of it is high on my end because I've got that much time in it. Yeah. But the value to the person who's like at a startup, it's the same thing I just mentioned.
They sure wish. I even wish I could use you. You know what I mean? I never got logoed besides my T-Rex, but I can't afford you personally. You know what I mean?
I get it. I have to see. I'm the same way. I say this all the time to people. I say, you want to know why? Like I go to when I'm out. Like see you at events. You see me. What am I doing when I'm at an event?
You're trying to make money.
I got a camera, man. I'm not there enjoying that stuff. I told somebody that I haven't been to a local event that I wasn't behind a camera in years. And so, because why? Because if I got to have a crew, but nobody's going to pay for that full crew, so I got to go do it, and that's, I love that because I get to engage with people and they see me. But at the same time, it's kind of like everybody else,
Well, I've recently skipped several events to walk around with holding my wife's hand and enjoy.
Me too.
And it's like this is a break for me. They're going, why aren't you set up? I'm going, go to Stellar Beans. If you want my stuff. Otherwise, I want to enjoy this too. There's a lot of people that don't ever get at the last art walk. I was set up in front of Stellar Beans making pots all day long. Didn't get to go visit all my art friends. They were all there. I seen them in the pictures. That's why
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
seen them in the photos, that somebody posted. So I know they were there, and I just couldn't get up to go. Because that's
I mean, artwork is, I believe this 100%, that artwork in Lake Charles, and like I was talking about all these events,
there's a lot of good.
it's a conductive fluid. I mean, but there have to be people producing those little energy points, and that's the hard part. Is that a lot of work that artists are putting into to make those things live?
And then they lots of times these events get converted into music events, and then they just invite the artist.
Yeah,
And that's another story in itself.
yeah. Well,
Not saying that's not art.
no, I get you, but it's different.
It's a different.
Yeah. I mean, are there? Do you feel like they have to go hand in hand?
I don't think they should.
Yeah. Is there an event that we've had here in our area that you feel like is the closest that we've had here? That's closer to your heart, I guess, as far as what you would envision for like an art event. What's the closest thing that we have? Would that be like Art Walk or something like that, or
That would be the closest, but right in the middle of it was some music jamming.
yeah,
Even though if you talk about Festival International, they got 4 bands playing, but it's also festival music with lots of artists.
yeah,
A lot of artists in one little area,
Yeah.
And then they're spewed out. So yeah, I reckon it's art. It's the musical side of art.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I know
You're driving down the road, everything is going just fine. You're listening to the new episode of Find the Good News in your car, and you're all stoked about trying out this zipper merge thing you've been hearing about, when all of a sudden you hear that sickening tap on your windshield that's just a little too loud. I've got some bad news for you. You've just got yourself a rock chip. Unfortunately, I've got some worse news. If you don't take care of that rock chip, it's going to turn into a crack. But I do have some good news too. You don't have to have a rock chip or a crack, because I've got a way for you to take care of it ASAP. If you go to asapglassco.com right now, you can stop that chip from winding across your windshield like the Calcasieu River. I used to be terrible about getting a rock chip, saying I'll take care of that later, and then later turns into this irritating crack that just spreads from one side of my windshield to the other. I should have taken care of it ASAP by scheduling a repair with ASAP Glass. ASAP Glass is local, right here in Sulphur, Louisiana, and they're mobile. Even better, you can get a quote right from your mobile phone at asapglassco.com. ASAP Glass is owned and operated by 2 of my best friends, lifelong friends, Dan and Kayla Smith. Dan the Glass Man will make sure his team of glass technicians gets to your job ASAP and make sure it's done right so you can keep that windshield crack out of sight. If you do get that rock chip and you don't take care of it ASAP, that's okay. ASAP Glass does complete windshield replacements. Remember, ASAP Glass is mobile, so you don't have to worry about finding time to drop your vehicle off at their shop. You get your quote at asapglassco.com. Make your appointment with Kayla, and then before long, an ASAP Glass van is on its way to your location. That's it. I know you're probably looking at a rock chip right now. Don't wait. Take care of it ASAP. Go to asapglassco.com on your mobile device and get a quote. That's asapglassco.com. And make sure to tell Dan and Kayla you heard about ASAP Glass on Find the Good News. Do the events, man, I got a lot of questions, man. You're going to get sick of talking to me.
We got something else to drink?
Yeah, man. Let's take a pause and get some
All
more
right.
drink. Hey, I got whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's flavored whiskey.
Oh.
If you drink that junk, old camp pecan whiskey, beach pecan, man. That's not the real stuff. That's that. We had some with Erin Hood when she worked here. I gave her my big bottle of whiskey, and we ain't had a new bottle since she left.
What kind of are you talking about?
Tin cup.
The tin cup's your favorite?
Yeah, do you like that one? To me, I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to whiskey. I like it, but it's got to be real super lightweight smooth, And that one to me had a light, palatable
that's what you got? Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm more of a.
What do you drink?
George Dick.
I've never heard of that. Is it good?
It's Tennessee whiskey. It's made, just been distilled for right up the road from Jack Daniels,
Yeah.
and they quit advertising in the 70s because every ounce is paid for is already sold,
Really?
so they don't need to advertise.
Wow. Huh. I'll have to
And it's
check
my
it
favorite.
out.
It's
You
my favorite.
just get it locally? Look, you may have to flip that one down. Them things are a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, I got it.
They do that so you can store them, but I don't store them anywhere. So,
Okay, we're back.
no, man, I have a lot of questions. I mean, whenever someone's planning a local festival or event, do they have do they ever put together like brainstorm groups and they invite you guys to come to that kind of stuff?
I can't answer that one.
Really?
Yeah,
So no,
not sure.
no.
I don't think so.
Man, that actually surprises me.
Yeah, but they do want us there.
Yeah.
Because they know that we do bring revenue.
Yeah.
That is true. Sometimes they push us to the side. We got one coming up on the 26th.
What is it?
Take Nabbit. Should be.
Is it new or?
Kind of no. He's been around. Dagos. You don't have. I wish I don't have my phone.
Dagos. Let me see. I'll pull something up. Let's see what it is. Go to Facebook. Here's on Facebook, you think?
Yeah, I guarantee it. Art, color. Type in Dago.
Dago.
Yeah. And
Dago.
Mark.
Dago's art. Mark.
Yeah. And then,
That it?
yep. Right there. He just got that's it right there.
Okay. Proceeds go to World of Color to support art. And where's this going to be at?
That's gonna be at Civic Center, I do believe, right there. Civic
Oh, wow,
Center.
okay,
May
yeah.
25th. Now
And so what is this?
He
What is
does.
this event?
Well, he's a body painter.
Oh, really?
artist.
Wow.
Phenomenal art.
So he
Like,
does paint, body, and
with
airbrush.
airbrush,
Okay.
tiny fine print stuff, super fun. And just recently got into a motorcycle magazine. Yeah, he is just.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard of this,
And-
man. I need to.
And each time he's had it, all the once you pay for everything, because like the cost of the Civic Center, you got to pay for that, you know. They donate it. Last year they gave some to McNeese students. They made like a little art scholarship fund. That's what it says right there.
Okay. That actually looks like a lot of fun, though, man. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
like a tattoo contest.
Yes, yes. Yeah, got yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know
Vendors
this
and
was
live
happening.
music
man.
and barbecue and pinup girl contest and bikes. People, most of the time, the bad part is just most of the people there are the ones that have cars and bikes that want to show off.
Yeah.
Because it's just, again, one of them, it's hard. It's hard to drag people out.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I think it's a free event. Maybe. I
Is it
don't know.
really?
It might not
It
be.
says proceeds go to, but I mean, I guess
might-
the
might
money
be a
might
little
be coming to. Well, I mean, people
It
are
should
trying
cost
to
you.
do stuff.
Yeah.
What about like Culture Fest? Have you ever done anything at that Culture Fest in Lake Charles? Pat Kelty puts that on. I don't know if she does it every year or if it's, every couple of years, but she brings in like, different, just different things from different cultures from around the world.
Well, technically, I think is that the same day that they have the Arts Fest downstairs?
Oh, yeah, it
And
is.
I'm
you're
always
down
doing the
there.
Arts Fest.
That's right. I filmed you down there
yes.
a few times.
I've done that because that's with the little kids, and that's planting the seed that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Because I have actually seen people years later that were saying, you remember this was the man that was helping you make that pot there that we have sitting on the shelf in the house,
Yeah. That's a lot of work, man. I mean, I was there filming one year, and I kind of filmed the whole event, and I was looking at everything, and I said, man, you guys had the biggest cleanup.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of y'all out there.
And the longest lines
Sure.
always, and then you got to stop after a while, and them mamas get all mad. The kids aren't as mad as the mamas.
Because they don't get to do.
But again, I tell them, hey, come
at
here
some point.
first.
Yeah.
Come here first next time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We do it for 4 hours. So normally the event's 4 hours. I said we need to stop after 3, because after 3 hours, then we could just, you're the last person.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that. And then there's, can I just one more?
Yeah. And it's hard.
We gotta say
man.
no.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's just like we need to go home too,
dude.
Because the first 3 years, the party be over, and we're finally finishing off the last kid. Then now we gotta clean up our mess.
Yeah.
We gotta pack it away. Nobody sees that.
Back in the, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s, I used to airbrush, and I finally got wise. Instead of trying to airbrush just in shop, I was like, oh, I'm going to make all this weekend money going and setting up at festivals and events and stuff. And
What a
dude,
genius move. Killed yourself.
I killed myself.
I
And
know.
man, I mean, the first few times, you're going, dude, you're coming home with money, and you're going, that was the thing.
That's nice.
You could go, well, I know if I'm not doing so good right now, I can go hit one of these festivals and come back with money.
Yeah.
It's kind of like waiting tables. You know you're coming home with some cash in your apron,
tonight.
right?
If you're hustling.
If you're hustling. But it was that
And
same
you're
kind of
still hustling.
sensibility.
We're still hustling.
Right.
And I'm over here. Come buy my pots, because there's a guy over there selling pots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's some
right.
events, too.
That's right. That's true. I remember that though, but what you're talking about, I mean, I would paint, and then I used to do it by myself, and then I finally brought somebody. So I need somebody to take orders while I paint. Well, man, you'd get there 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. You'd been painting since 6 in the afternoon the night before. At some point, your hand is just in a permanent claw around this airbrush gun, and then you still got to pick all that mess up for the night. And I was like, dude, I can't go at this pace. Man, I was burning out fast trying to chase the festivals.
Yeah. I did like the Festival International one time, and I was so pooped after 3 days set up, and it's just like burnt out. I said, no,
Yeah.
I gotta just find another way. So that's why I set out in front of Stellar Beans. Not every Saturday, not every other Saturday. It's just whenever it's convenient for me.
Yeah.
And people are walking by going, oh, look at this, look. And so that's all the glory I get there.
Yeah.
And I get to make some pots, and I just don't hardly do.
Yeah.
I got, I've done a couple other events here and there when a friend says, please, I might do it,
Yeah. Well, there is a certain spectacle to it, right? I mean, it's funny because I keep thinking about, we're talking about this and the value of like you put the energy in and like how many pieces do you sell? I was watching a video the other day, and this guy was painting with his fingers. And so you could he'd paint with his fingers these beautiful scenes. It was like this Bob Ross kind of style stuff. And he was so fast and it was really neat to watch. But the way the camera was angled, he was down his hands and knees painting. And what I thought was cool was, this is the part that I really caught the most, my pessimistic nature, is I'm going, oh, he's painting and I'm watching him paint, but then as he starts to get to the end, there's all these feet around this tarp, and I can see him in the camera angle, and as soon as he finished that painting and he held it up to the camera, they scattered, man. And I went
scared to death that they might have to buy
they
it.
might have to buy it. And I thought, isn't that the way
That's
it is,
hard
man?
work.
Like
That's hard work.
He's humping it all day, doing this beautiful, incredible thing, but every one of them feet take off.
Because that's cool, but
I didn't.
Where would that go in my house?
That's cool, but I didn't come here for that.
Yeah,
man. Oh man, I got like them little wire. Look over there, that little wire crawfish. I mean, I have to get something. It's small, but like when I go to a neat little thing in art and somebody's making something, I would sit there and watching that guy, and I kept watching the same thing happen. He was making all this stuff out of wire, and people would scatter after he'd make something. And I was like, man, I got to get something. This is, you can't just, you got to give something back. The guy is filling you with joy to watch him do this. It's
putting everything into it.
And all the work. I don't know. I sometimes wonder if people think about that, like the other side of that, and like, man, all this setup and all this, well, like this fella, I asked him, I was like wanting to hear his story, because I was like, how did you do this? Kind of like with you. And he was telling me, he said, well, I was an electrician. And he said, we'd have all these scrap wires, and when we'd have a break, I'd sit around and I was make little things out of them with the pliers. And he was like, and I sort of realized that I'm actually pretty good at this. And somebody said, man, can you make me one of that? And he said, I just got into making wire art out of just, he was,
That is good, but that's good.
Yeah, I love stuff like that, man. It's like, whoa, you just had a big shift. You went from like electrician
making money, come home with a paycheck to just barely have, but maybe making a lot of money. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
People,
just neat, man.
You just don't know.
Yeah, and he had to see, it was similar how he would speak about it, like the way you were talking about clay. He was like, well, different wire have different, tensions, and I like this wire for this. And I was like, it's interesting. I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Brain, we only got so much to use in here.
right.
Trying to burn them up, burn them cells down.
Yeah. So what's your like, end game here? Like, what do you just, are you just riding it like the wave and go, I'm just going to do this way? Or is there like something like a vision for yourself that you see with this? Like you go, okay, I'm heading somewhere with this in a different place. Or is it just like, I'm very content to just kind of stay on this trajectory?
I think I want it to ride up a little something higher. I'm getting close to retirement.
Okay.
But I don't want it to turn into getting back to a job. I want to keep being Rex. I'm just going to just keep making them my way.
Yeah.
And don't take orders, or just every once in a while just hear somebody say something and I'll make this butter thing. It holds butter.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it my way. It's going to be different because they want it to look just like this, because this is how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I want to buy a bigger kiln. I want to buy an easier kiln. That's the main thing. Easier.
What does that mean?
Easy means easy loading. Because right now my kiln, I have to like stand in it to load it.
Okay. So you need something like
59 and a half. Okay. So pretty soon I ain't gonna be able to do that. I need to make it to where I can easily put it on the shelf, and then it's called a cart kiln.
Okay.
So the pots are sitting on a cart. And you just roll it in the kiln and then shut the door and cook it.
Okay.
And then when it's done, you pull it out, and it's easy accessibility.
Gotcha.
So
you right now you're walking in there and loading all of that. And that's heavy.
Yeah, and it's a nuisance because for one, you get to a point where it's like upper body strength, just putting the shelves on, and just again, nobody cares.
Yeah,
they just want pots.
Right.
But I'm getting old, and I got to find another way. If speaking of trajectory, or whatever that word is.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to have a studio. I always wanted a gallery. Always wanted a place that other artists could come. But every time I see around, it's just, it don't look great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to end up just doing it and funding it myself. Kind of like, just do it, and if they come, they come. They don't, they don't.
Are there any places like that? I mean, there are a couple that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But are there
the
any
Art Factory.
Is that kind of like that?
There's spaces she can, you rent a shelf, and you can make pots at your own, and fire them. Pay for space in the kiln. She also does events like when at school. Okay. Day out, instead of finding a babysitter, drop the kids off at her place.
Like a day camp type.
In a way, so, and then summer they have a bunch of events at the Art Factory.
Okay.
And and I was talking to her, and she was saying, and that's another thing about running an event like that, then your art starts to fall. You don't have time to make your art. Because I heard this from another artist years ago. He said, I don't get to make my own art because I'm doing this to pay the bills, and these people take up all my time, suck it up like a sponge. Pretty soon I can't even make a cup.
Yeah.
Until it's almost cup season, and I got to make 100 because I'm committed to make 100.
Right.
So then it's just like, go hide in the corner, make you 100.
Yeah.
And then you got to go back and start doing your people.
And see, then it's changed. I
You're
can
no
relate to
longer
that
doing
100%, man.
Your love.
Yeah, I can relate to that because let me tell you, like, and I don't mean this. It's the way it is. I do. My niche is logo design. That's really where I can tighten the screws, and I have a certain when I'm left just like with you with your designs.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when I did one.
Mm-hmm.
You know it was mine, and and then when I point them out to people, they're like, "Oh, I see that you have a specific way that you do it."
Yeah.
But do I particularly get to do them anymore? No, because I'm doing all the time sucks. Like the email and the communicating and the project planning and the brainstorming. So I'm directing other people. So when I get to do something, it's usually I have to find a way to do it. So it's like, well, if I'm going to do this project, I'm going to have to do it after hours, and then
no one's around.
No one's around.
And losing your sleep time.
Yeah, I got to sink it in to give it, muster up that passion at that particular time, which may not even be the right time.
There you go.
Because that's an animal.
Everybody
man.
has that too.
Thing.
Some days they go, "You making pots?" I'm going, "Yeah, not today. I don't feel like it."
Yeah,
because it's part of my energy. You know, it's not just I walk out there and make pots, then I go
turn it
in
on,
the house.
turn it off. Yeah, well, that's like me with writing. I write a lot, and I can give you an example. This show, like if I'm writing for a client or I'm writing for this show, that language is two different things. When I write for this show, I pull it out of my heart. When I write for a client, it has to sound like I pulled it out of my heart. That's two different types of things.
That's another way of, that.
And so I go, well,
hurtful.
It is. It can be because you have to dig.
You got to cheat.
That's right. You got to cheat. What I tell somebody the other day, I said, when it comes to that kind of writing, that kind of creative writing for a client, what I end up having to do is going into what I call my store, my heart, where I have all that creative stuff, but I got to go rob from it to do this task. And then when it's time for me to really have that, to pour my actual heart into something that is just for the heart, I've already taken resources out of there, and I have to let that pull back up. Isn't that weird, man? Do you ever you feel like that with stuff too? Yeah. Creatives are different folks, man. I think it's a rare thing. It's a hard thing to be in both worlds sometimes. I mean, I've talked about it again at length, but like I think that tying commerce to art is difficult.
Commerce?
Yeah, tying them together. When you put money on art. Yeah. And it's about, when it becomes about, getting your bread and your shelter, then art it changes it. It does something to the creator.
But sometimes you get that lucky chance. You get that fleur de lis that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
And then does great.
Yeah.
But not everybody gets that fleur de lis.
No.
They tried to do the crab, but it didn't go.
Right.
It wasn't the same as
Yeah,
she did phenomenal.
When we've had teammates here, that's one of the things I have to do as my role, is to be sort of the motivator, because when you hire creative people to do commercial work, those people you're hiring, especially if they're younger, they probably have never done a really big bulk of commercial work for a prolonged period of time. They're not prepared a lot of times for what's about to happen to their creative engine, because it's going to tax it. Yeah. And so if a client, you do get a young creative and they're like, I'm pouring their heart on the work and it's looking really great, but the client just goes, I don't like that. Then they got to throw that out. It's not going to see the light of day. For a young creative, that can be just defeating.
Life changing.
Yeah. So my role has been to, tell them, recognize their creativity during those times. And that's maybe not always of value, but it's to say, hey, I understand that we're doing commercial work, and I've done enough creative work to where hopefully you respect what I've done, and I can look at your young work and say, good job. That is great, and I'm sorry that this happened to you, but it is
save
recognized.
That. That's portfolio
Yeah,
proof.
exactly. We think we know you have talent. We know you're creative. You did good work, even if this isn't recognized in the commercial realm.
But again, you gotta please the customer.
Yeah, so that's a tough little.
That's that fine line where
It's a dance, though, man.
I just, whenever I get soft again and somebody goes, yeah, will you make this for me? And I go, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do the same thing and I go, bam, why did I do that again?
Yeah.
That hurts so bad.
I even thought about that. We were talking about doing another order with you, and I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think this time, if we do this, I'd rather just say, you know what? Like, don't even put our logo on it, and just
I love your logo.
include some orange, but make it whatever. Like if you say, hey, I want some of these to be blue, but make sure there's always a splash orange, like how you did with this thumb thing, how you added that in there, and you melted what you
that's glass, orange glass,
right? Yeah. I was like, that's such a cool little touch, and just go, you know what? Let you do what you're describing. Like, go, just do you on this.
Well. But your logo is so strong, it's so nice. It looks good on the pot. Technically, you know,
people know it's
Look at
ours. That. Yeah, you can't miss it. That's
I
true.
like that. I really do.
People know what it is. I don't know. Just let you just go a little more like freedom.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it sounds like to me, it's sitting and talking with you. That's the way to go. If you want to get good, like you want a real
a piece of art.
That's yeah.
Yeah, but there's. I'm just the first thing that comes to my mind is I could put that right here.
Yeah, that way it's
because when you do that,
yeah, they ain't looking at that. It's on the bottom. That's right.
Otherwise, the whole time it's just like this. You go, man, that is fine.
Yeah. Right. Who you sitting across from watching drinking? Well, what's that on the bottom of there? Yeah, because I mean, you never would think about that.
I've actually done that to several people.
Really?
Yeah. And then I put it on the inside too.
That's pretty cool.
Made it small to where once you was finished, it was right there.
Yeah.
That's George Orr. Look him up.
The Mad Potter.
Mad Potter Bullets.
I am going to look him up. He's
super cool.
I love that name.
He has influenced me big time.
Is he still living?
No. He died in like 19...
Oh, because you said it was the 1800s or something when he was born, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 1920 something.
Wow.
And his work was like phenomenal, and at the time it was like nobody thought pottery was art. You must be crazy.
Utility.
Yeah, and his work was art. It's now in the Smithsonian. It's
really
in New Orleans Museum of Art. There's several pieces. He has his own place in Biloxi. It's the George Orr. It's like the first museum that was like for ceramics. Okay.
Yeah.
As in most of the time, it's just they show up to museums.
Okay.
It's always all about these big old art pieces, you know.
Yeah.
It's all about George Orr.
Do you see any young people coming up in the community in the art scene that you're going, hey, I see they got some talent there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I went to the McNeese's
the show at 1911, right? Or at McNeese?
At the McNeese, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was good to see new people doing, and they were being free spirits and making art.
Yeah. I was actually impressed. I don't know if it was McNeese now that I think about it, but at 1911 they had a pottery and sculpture show. And I think it was McNeese. There was some pretty incredible stuff there. It was all on the bottom floor when you first walk in. But I was kind of blown away by some of the pieces I saw. I was like, man, that's really boundary pushing stuff that I had never seen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess those are all local students, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Some instructors too, I think. Yeah. Is there sort of like a fellowship of the ring, so to speak, when it comes to pottery, though?
Kind of, sort of. There's a group of us that kind of always talk about getting together, but we never do until for the Salvation Army empty bowl event.
Oh, yeah.
They utilize us to make bowls.
Okay.
So we're talking...
So that's not just you then?
No way.
I thought it was just you doing that.
No. Miss Georgianne Benoit, which was one of the three that brought me in. She was the first one the first year, and she made like 300, and it like it killed her, she said.
300 bowls. Oh, my gosh,
yeah,
man. That's
bowls. So the second year, she asked me to help her, so I made half. I made 150 for her. and she did some, and then they started bringing in more artists. So then it increased the quantities. So 600, 700, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then we just brought in more people.
I see.
Which was good, because then I didn't have to make but 100 or 80 or,
Yeah, cuts down the load.
Makes it easy, and still contributed.
Yeah.
Versus like she made 300, and that's a lot for somebody. She was an elderly lady already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like a lot. I mean, 300 of anything. I mean, I stuffed 300 envelopes and I'm burned out. So I mean,
Yeah. Don't want to lick them either. No. Don't lick them.
Yeah,
so,
that's
wild. Yeah. So we always end up going to the event, and we always talk about, man, we ought to have a. And then the next year, hey guys, good to see you again. It's been a whole year because time flies.
Yeah, it's gone.
And then we're making pots for the Salvation Army again.
So that's become sort of like y'all's.
Kind of like the only time we get to meet and greet.
Yeah, it's not such a bad thing to meet and greet around.
Yeah, if you got to have something to do.
Yeah.
Especially there because the food's good.
Yeah, but y'all don't make them all. Y'all don't make them together. Y'all make them in your own studios or what have you.
Totally separate. Yeah. Just show up. They come and pick them up. Call it.
Yeah, maybe y'all should time and get together like around
we
that.
We kind of talked about it, but everybody has different lives.
Yeah, no, I know.
And so busy, and and we are most of us do make art.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good.
Yeah.
So if it's working, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Don't break it.
Yeah. Don't break the.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Yeah, that's the other way. Trying to say it right.
Well, you even said that about some of your pottery. If it breaks, I don't fix it. I try to just,
Yeah, you go on or
make another one.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any work where you've been invited to go to a class or something and do a presentation to some students?
Actually, yes. FK White, actually.
Yeah.
I forget the other school. But yeah, I did it several times over there. It was fun. The principal come down there. We were taking pictures. And, we had fun.
Yeah, I wondered. Do you ever get a bug like that where you think, I could probably be an instructor?
I say no.
No, not in you.
No, I don't. No. Because I've actually have tried to teach a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's like. Well, here's the perfect scenario. It was at one of the downtown events, and I was set up, and I was making pots, and this little boy sat in front of me for 2 hours. And the mama was giving me money at the end going, I'd never seen him not move, not talk for 2 hours.
That's pretty incredible, man.
So I'm thinking, this is cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
She goes,
it is.
He wants to take classes. I said, bring it on. And I said $25 an hour. I didn't think that's terrible price.
No, no. I don't think so either.
So she did it twice, and she didn't come back the third time. And I called her, and she goes, we just can't afford it. I said, look, you just come for free. Because the kid wanted it, at first.
Yeah.
But after that second one, the kid just...
It wasn't...
Technically, it wasn't the money.
Yeah.
He fell us... Because I said, look, just come for free.
Yeah.
I'll do it for free. Because I want the boy...
Yeah,
but he was just watching was one thing,
but doing's a different.
But actually putting his hands on it, it turned out to where.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a little sad.
A lot of those.
Yeah.
But then maybe in the future something will spark in him again. He might find that the little ladies in the corner doing something different. They might be blacksmithers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It might have been just something about watching someone make something, right? Yeah. I find that
I learn a lot about watching. Man. Some people have to read. I watch you. I can do it.
I agree. I think there's something primitive about watching somebody create something. When you watch somebody do things, especially once they've developed that over time and they've got kind of their own way of doing it, they've changed it. That's just beautiful, man.
Well, even as simple as how it's made on the Discovery or whatever channel.
Yeah,
I can watch all of that. Drives my wife crazy. Totally.
I'm the same way. I like that.
I can just because I just love to see how things are made.
Yeah.
And because this is how I do this. you know, and it's how it's made, you know.
Well, man, I mean, there's something
whole process.
elemental about it. I was years ago. I was filming. I believe it was at Arts and Crafts Festival, and there was a guy there doing glass blowing, and he only came that one year.
Yeah.
And I filmed him more than anybody, and it was the fire, man, and the heat, and the watching him shape stuff. Well, I was excited the next year I went to film it, and I was going, oh, maybe that guy will be there, because I was really just mesmerized. Well, he wasn't there. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, I was getting something at AutoZone, and I looking at this guy behind the counter, and I think he might have saw something I was wearing or something, and he was like, that's cool, man. And I was like, dude, you look familiar. I was like, dude, are you an artist or something? He goes, well, I used to do glass blowing. And I was like, yeah, you're that guy from Arts and Crafts. And we stood there at the counter and talked about art and glass blowing and making. And he was a lot like you. It was just like you could tell he totally lit up, man. It was like he got out of the auto parts world and just like was in art world. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I do it, but it's hard to make it.
It's hard money.
And it made me sad, man. I mean, like, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but I mean, I was going, dude, you could see his whole like energy change. And I thought, man, I just carried that around with me for a few days, how it was good to talk to him, but on the flip side, it kind of made me feel a little almost depressed a little bit, you know.
Well, or more grounded, because it's tough doing what you do. Being an artist, you're an artist.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough.
It just made me sad seeing somebody who has that, and then, you know, and it has to be sort of just for survival purposes. You just got to lay it down, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
well. Sometimes they don't lay it down. Sometimes they just, like me, just do it in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You fit it in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do it when no one's around, and I do my best work. You know, no music, no nothing. You know.
Well, I kind of brought him up too, I guess, too. I derailed my own thinking. I was just thinking about watching you make something and watching him, and the feeling I get is because of the materials. There's something elemental about it. And I think that's fascinating to people because really, we're really cut off from that in the world. I mean, everything's sort of, like we said, manufactured. You're touching everything in here. I mean, you look at it, for the bulk of it's all made by machines, and it's coming off an assembly line, and that's the bulk of what we do. We drive around in vehicles that are made that way,
made far away.
Yeah, and so we don't have like that touchstone all the time. And I say we generally, but when you encounter someone like you or this guy blowing glass, or maybe a blacksmith, it mesmerizes us, because I think it brings somewhere on a cellular level, it goes, oh, elements.
Where it came from.
Elements. And then, I mean, for me, I go, I'm elements. And I just feel like humans get connected to that raw stuff, man. It draws you in.
Yeah. Like even baking bread.
Yeah, right. No, exactly, dude.
You know, because that is like art.
Yeah,
that's art.
That's exciting to hear you say that.
We're not talking sandwiches at McDonald's, you know.
Yeah,
we're talking where they they got the big kiln, you know, the oven, and
there's something special about that. You're right. Some of my best memories,
I
man.
want to make one. I want to make a pit for cooking pizzas in, and you know, it's all made out of my material that I have.
Oh yeah,
I could go home and do it if I would just go do it.
Yeah.
But I got to go put some handles on some mugs.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
I'm still focused on this. I haven't okay, I'm gonna jump to baking bread.
Yeah.
But I have thought about it, you know.
Well, that's like the knife shop here in Sulphur.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you go over there and you go in the back. I mean, they're kind of a cool fusion of modern technology and also like the old way of doing things. Because you get the young generation. His son's designing some of the patterns on CAD and stuff, and then he's taking that and doing some of the traditional methods or leatherworking and stuff. And I was like, man, it's pretty cool. Fusion of old and new. I really like that.
And it was a piece of metal and a piece of leather and some bone. Yeah. And it comes out, now it's in my pocket.
Yeah. That's right.
That's what I love about it.
Well, there you go. There again. It gets back to having an object. You know, I have one of their pocket knives.
Oh, one of the...
Yeah. But what it is, you know, why is this special? It's just a pocket knife. There's a bunch of them.
I had one like it,
When my dad passed away, I was driving home the day I'd stay with my mom. And it was the day after his funeral, and I'd stayed with my mom that night, and I was driving home, and I was just kind of exhausted, man. You know, your mind's just kind of been run through the ringer. You know, all your emotions have just been drained out over a 7-day period or whatever. And I was driving by there, and I was like, you know what? I gave my uncle that same day. My uncle came to check on us, and I had a pocket knife of my dad's, and he was my dad's. I say my uncle, he was a cousin, but we called him an uncle. Grew up with my dad, and I said, you know, I want you to have something. So I gave him one of my dad's pocket knives that I'd been carrying. And he was like really thankful. And I was like, and it was weird. It was like you said about those mugs. I'd had that pocket knife of my dad's for so long. I was like kind of hard to part with, but I felt like it was given, like it was almost like
It was the right thing
something
to do.
sacred, you know, happening. So I gave it to him. Then I was driving home, and I was driving by Smith and Sons, and I just had this bug, and I said, you know what? I'm going to stop in there and kind of make this a moment. So I bought this to remember. So, I mean, it's not that it's my favorite pocket knife, but it is because
it's a really good one.
Good knife, carbon steel, you know, leather. And I go, you know, there's something special about it because I think of it as the knife, the last knife my dad gave me, you know, and I'll get to pass this on. The way they make things over there, there's quality. Something passed on, you know. Hopefully they'll care, you know. Whoever gets it'll care, you know.
And I'm happy, I know it.
This episode's Fishing for Goodies Fishbowl sponsor is Brimstone Museum and Hinge Cultural Center in Sulphur, Louisiana. I don't know what you look for when you travel, but one of the things I look for when I'm putting together my itinerary is a unique museum or gallery in the city I'm traveling to. I do this almost every time I go to a new city, but if I'm being honest, I'm guilty of not always doing that very thing right here at home in Sulphur, Louisiana. That's really a shame because we have one of the most interesting, historically relevant, and culturally rich corners in any city in the country about 2 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I'm talking about the Brimstone Museum and Hinge Cultural Center. Have you ever really thought about why our city is named Sulphur? They've got a permanent exhibit on the history of the sulfur industry that answers that simple question and more. You really get a full scope of just how important the sulfur mining industry was to the development of Southwest Louisiana and the impact it had on the rest of the world. Yes, the rest of the world. On the same property, right next door to the museum, is the Hinge Cultural Center, presenting some of the most interesting, modern, and culturally relevant local art shows I've ever seen. My dear friend Tom Trahan and the Brimstone Historical Society have really worked hard to give us this treasure, and it's a multifaceted jewel that I plan to take advantage of more often. You don't have to wonder what their hours are, or how to get there, or what shows are coming up. Just go to brimstonemuseum.org like I did, and subscribe to their mailing list right there on the homepage. That's brimstonemuseum.org. Tom will make sure you start getting the announcements for each and every new show at the gallery. But you don't have to wait for the mail to arrive to enjoy this historical local treasure. You don't have to be guilty, like me, of overlooking a local wonder that conveniently sits next to the Grove, one of the most beautiful walking parks in Southwest Louisiana. Drop in and say hi to Tom for me. Tour the museum and center, and make sure to tell Tom that you heard about Brimstone Museum on Find the Good News. Now, let's take that dive in the fishbowl. Well, look, man, there's a part of the show, if you've listened to it, where we go in this fishbowl right here.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
That's everybody. It's not scary. It's going to be fun, man.
All right.
But you get to draw 3 cards or questions or whatever, and so I'll tell you, give you a little sneak peek of what's in there. There's some really big cards, and those are would you rather cards, so you get 2 choices, but there's all kinds of stuff in there.
Just grab something.
Just grab something.
Oh, I got that.
You got one. There you go.
I got one here too. And I'm gonna get a small one again.
I like those small ones.
Okay. Have you ever had something snowball out of control? If so, what?
Snowball.
Wow. Yeah. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
What about pottery? You ever had a project that you like started on and you were like, oh man, this has just got a life of its own now?
In a good way?
In a good way, or
Okay.
yeah, in a good way.
Okay, well, in good ways, yeah. I've had good ways. I reckon bad too. Like that scenario earlier about making 2 sets
Oh yeah.
of the same, you know. So if what that, that'd be the worst case. Best case is where whenever they were needing some art for the dedication for 210, went that lieutenant.
Oh, okay, yeah. You did the project.
I did an art piece for them, and it was way personal. I wasn't in the wars, but I made it look like where bombs had been dropped on a platter.
Oh, wow.
Like threw stuff at it and planted stuff in it, and it looked like you could have took a battlefield and and some people go, well, that's kind of cruel and wrong because he died. I go, well, but
it's a reminder of the sacrifice.
So
that was a project.
It was really good, and they had asked me to do it, and they auctioned it off or whatever they did.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. So that's one of those times where like the emotion kind of got wrapped up in it.
Yeah, I was able to just do anything, and if we want to.
Yeah, because I think you can say snowball's out of control. You can take that as a negative thing. Sometimes you can snowball into a good thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because the first one I said was out of control, but technically I sold both.
Yeah.
Somebody bought them. The first set, somebody else bought them, and so I was, if anything, double the richer. Yeah. But anyway, so we'll see.
I get that, man. I've had projects where it starts off as a good thing, and I guess from that perspective, snowballing, I go, oh my gosh, I never can get my foot out of this project. It's never going to end. It's not going good, and it just feels like it keeps coming back.
Okay, well, I've recently had, about a year ago, I made this person asked me to make him a bonsai pot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, wanted it shaped like this, and actually I was making it at this event, and so I made it. It died.
The tree?
The pots.
Oh.
The pots. We're talking a pot. I'm still making a pot.
Okay.
It kept breaking. So I made another one. It kept breaking. To me, that's snowballing, man. It's killing me.
Yeah.
I finally get it. I finally finished it. I called the number, the card that he gave me. Mm-hmm. Oh, this ain't him. I didn't order no.
So on top of the fact,
so now I have a bonsai pot at the house waiting for this guy that paid me half of it.
Man,
it's like that was just cool. It was terrible because I kept making it and it kept dying.
Don't you just
and it's like, oh man, that was so close.
No, I've been upside down on things like that. It just doesn't go right. Yeah.
And then he didn't show. He didn't. It's like, where is he?
Yeah, it doesn't even.
He's from Houston. I called the number, and the guy was totally not the guy because he had like a Latin voice, the one that got it, that ordered it, but the other was just, not.
Oh man!
So it was like weird.
That's painful. When that
was
happens.
weird. It was like, I tried so hard.
Well, it could jade you, right? And you go, I ain't doing this anymore. Or,
that is another. Yeah. Okay, here's another. What is something you'd like to grow instead of buying? Whew.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, well. Actually, I got some plans for some of that. Hemp is legal to grow in some states.
Yes, it is.
And I actually own some land in one of them states.
Oh, really?
And it's actually been on the mind.
Yeah, it should be. So, I mean, CBD oil is really taken off. I mean, people are finally starting to use it. I mean, I've used it for headaches and joint pain and stuff before.
So that technically has really been thrashed around.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, I mean, that's where it's headed.
Because otherwise, you got to buy it,
right? And it's not cheap.
And it serves good purpose.
Yeah. No, I mean it's helped a lot of people, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't hear anything bad about it.
Yeah, the hemp.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's, you know, you hear these stories sometimes online about it where in some state, I mean, even like our state, where somebody's driving through with like a 5-gallon buckets of CBD oil, and then they arrest them and confiscate it, not even realizing what you're not understanding, you know, what they're doing. And I mean, CBD oil is, I don't know. I know when I was taking it, I saw it different. My blood pressure went down. My headaches kind of just dropped out.
Come on.
Yeah, it was a help. I mean, it really was, because I was getting stress headaches just from stress at work, man, deadlines and stuff. And I was like, man, I am just can't beat these things.
And it's not from the other plant.
Right. What they say, it's
hemp is not marijuana. Marijuana is not.
Jane. That's
yeah.
Right.
It's
a cousin.
But you can get CBD that is from marijuana.
Yeah. It's just the THC in the hemp plant.
That's right. It's like 0.03.
Yeah, hemp got a bad rap, man. When it got. I mean, there's so many values to that. I mean, you know, building materials and
rope.
Paper. Yeah, rope. I mean,
clothes.
Right.
And nobody even. That's not even talked about. But people wear them and tow the ropes all the time.
It got demonized because it's a look-alike, you know, and that's about it. Yeah. Nah, man, that's cool. Well, that's a good answer to that. That's a good relevant question.
Yeah, that worked out good. Okay. Would y'all rather host a foreign exchange student for a year or be an exchange student? Ooh, I'd rather be an exchange student.
Yeah,
that'd be more fun.
I agree.
Because I got a friend at work that's got a foreign thing, but she's totally enjoying having a foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, kind of helped her to see like another person's world.
Oh, sure, I bet.
Views, you know.
Yeah.
But not enough Americans go elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, no,
More people come here.
Well, when you don't travel, or even if you don't, I mean, I say travel literally physically, but if you don't travel even in your mind or your interest, if you don't make an attempt to even see what another person's world is like, or what their culture is like, or anything,
or just the world,
just in general.
A lot of people never left suffer and died.
Right.
Born here, died, didn't do nothing. You know, if they'd have joined the Marines, they might at least had to have. You know.
Yeah.
But they, you know.
That's come up a few times on this show. You know how I've had lots of conversations with soldiers who will re-enlist after they come home because they don't. There's an imprint that's just so different. Trapped. Yeah, they say, you know, people are living in sort of a delusion out here. They're not seeing what's going on out in the world, and they can't stomach it. Yeah, you know, I mean, you hear that a lot from even people who volunteer in other countries and things like that. You really, it changes them. Yeah, you know, you get back here and you're like, what are we doing?
Wow, we going to McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, I've had this has come up on here a lot with different people. I mean, I think there's just a definite sentiment amongst people. People want to change. I really think they want to change their habits, and they want to care about people more, and they want to engage the world differently. They want to buy differently, but they don't want to leave their little family thing. Their little right here. I'm gonna stay right here. Yeah.
I ain't gonna move nowhere.
Yeah, or go see anything different anyway. Yeah. You know, I think that's hard, and then what happens is a tribe forms, I think, after a while. You know, you get this you get a tribal mentality. You got to do what the tribe does, you believe what the tribe does, and I think that's a real danger. I don't think there's anything wrong in having an identity that's surrounded around a culture at all. I think it's good to celebrate culture and diversity in culture, but at the same time, tribal mentality is just a little different. It's like almost cult-like.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, that's like whenever there's like a riot mentality.
Yeah,
is another same thing.
Yeah, like mobs.
You wouldn't be a mob person on a normal day, but in that moment,
get caught up in it.
Your brain just turns into that tribal.
Yeah.
Back. You do things that you wouldn't have never done.
Yeah, it does. Happens. Mass hysteria, all that type of stuff. It's a real thing.
It's written.
Yeah. So. No, I think I'm like you. I think I'd probably do one or the other, but I do wish I'd traveled more when I was younger.
Yeah, but we're still not dead.
No.
Like, chances are still chances of going somewhere.
Yeah.
And I seen a video or something saying that we can always make more money, but you can't always travel.
Yeah.
So,
well, a lot of people are
just
encouraging that too, to instead of
bust
buying more
out.
stuff, buy experiences for yourself.
Bust out of here, take a trip.
Yeah,
Even
I like
if it's
little
to
road
Austin.
trips. Yeah, just little day trips. Even
Yeah.
I mean, I like doing that.
Yeah.
I know the lieutenant governor's pushing staycations right now. You know, and I think that's a good idea to
Yeah.
go see the state
Yeah.
that you
Oh,
live in.
I mean, when me and my wife first got together, we went to Bro Bridge all the time, New Orleans all the time.
Yeah.
Now there's no time.
Well, you know,
Why?
I went. My son, we had a color guard competition down in Thibodeau, and you know, I went down there. I love going to old cemeteries. It's one of my favorite things to do. And we got down to Thibodeau, and my niece went with me. And there was a lot of downtime. We were going to be there 17 hours, and I was like, okay, we got 5 hours of nothing. We don't know, you know. And I was like, what do you want to go do? I said, well, you know what? Let's just get on our phone and find old churches and old cemeteries. We found a bunch. We spent the rest of the whole day looking at old statues and tombstones and reading epitaphs. And what a good
That we
day.
drive by right here all the time.
I mean, what a good day it was. I mean, she said it was one of the best days she'd ever had. I said, well, yeah, we touched history, man. I mean, you get to go back in time, let your mind wander. I don't know, it was just cool. And I thought, you know, it's a place I probably wouldn't have just picked to go, but I mean, you can find something everywhere. Yeah. Well, man, this has been a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah. I was scared to death, and
Now, we've been talking for 2 hours, bro.
holy moly.
That's I think a lot of people get in here. I've heard everybody say is a little bit nervous, but I mean, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Yeah.
you
I've been years since we talked, and
I remember. I just remember you coming in the video store, man. You know, as you were a regular customer of Dad's for a long time. I was in high school.
well, you can't flick anymore. You don't have.
VHS is dead.
It's gone. Heck, the CDs are gone. You can't even buy a CD player hardly.
No.
You got to get a. Well, I don't even know
Like a
that
plug,
machine.
like an external drive.
Yeah.
Well, even like in our computers, our design computers, they don't have
They
drives.
don't even have drives in the new
No.
ones.
No, I just got a new one
gotta
recently.
have
It has nothing. It's just plug in.
You got them plug-in things. That's it.
Yeah, it's wild, man, how things have changed.
Moving
But the
forward.
video store was a good. I think of those days fondly because there are people that I'm finally starting to realize how many people were flowing through that place. That I
You had to see them twice a day.
Oh yeah, that's
Twice.
right. You were gonna you bring it and you're gonna come back
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, and then might just do it another night.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that was your only entertainment, even though the 100 channels weren't
that's right.
enough.
It was different though. It was a cool time, man.
Yeah.
It was a cool time, it's weird how you can feel like you know people just from working somewhere, even when you don't. Like
Yeah.
I knew your name, I knew your face, and I mean, you seem.
Yes,
even though I didn't know a
remember-
lot about
I
you,
remember. Yeah.
you know, I just know you. You feel
Yeah.
like you know that person because you're taking down their information every time they rent. So,
Yeah.
well, this was really fun, man. I'm actually glad that you came in. You know, I've been
Glad I
wanting to
did.
get you for a while.
Yeah, the scary part is going home now.
Oh yeah.
Got to cross the bridge at 5.
Oh, and you live in Lake Charles.
Charles, yeah. And
It's-
and the president's in town.
So it's not.
So, but maybe he's gone by now.
I think he's supposed to fly out at 4:30. That's what I saw on his itinerary.
Is it 4:30?
I think it's probably it's 4:30 right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
He's already over the
he's
bridge.
already
so
over.
now,
We hope.
So now I can take it.
Yeah,
the
they had
bridge.
everything kind of shutting down. I know we went to
Yeah.
lunch today and it was kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
I actually forgot. I live right out there on 27 where they were going. I was
Well,
like,
lucky
oh,
you
man.
got to work because
Yeah.
it was closed.
Yeah, well, my wife
the way
was
down
going
the camera.
home, and she said, "Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get home." They got this
Unless
whole
you
thing.
Go to Shoe Peak.
That's what I told her. Say, go to Shoe Peak and take the back way
south.
because it connects right to our.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you can't take 27. I don't know what it looks like right now though.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you, the bridges to me, they're not so bad as long as there's no wrecks.
That is the kicker.
Yeah,
That is.
it's when there's a wreck. And a lot of those wrecks, man, I mean, I don't know, but I think some of it's just, here's the two things. Well, this is my two things. You people following each other too close.
Way too close.
And looking at their phones.
Looking at the phones.
And if you could stop doing those two things, I try to leave 3 cars between me and the other person.
I do my best, but then all of a sudden, Mr. Friendly Not So jumps in that spot in my safe zone, so then I got to pull back a little more.
Yep. And every time I have to pull back, I go, somebody's going to hit. Yeah.
So you don't want to really give them a full.
Yeah.
So then you're taking your chance of rear-ending.
I thought about getting me some stickers made for the back glass of my vehicle that says, one pointing to the left that says, "Can I cut in?" with a smiley face, and on the other one saying, "I'm going to leave some room so you can cut in," the other side of my truck, man. Just to go, look, I got it covered. Can you just let me in? I'll let you in. Well, yeah, it's a little give
Have
and
them
take.
light up too. Yeah. Just when you need them.
When I've been going to Lake Charles lately, what I've been doing from Sulphur, and I don't really like to get stuck. I don't mind if it takes me a longer time in traffic. I just don't like being stuck. And so what I've been doing is hitting what is that? Old Spanish Trail turns into Sulphur Avenue, going all the way to Westlake that way, and then just looping over.
Boy, that's just as long.
It is just as long, but I'm not stopping
like
as much.
You maybe just don't feel like it.
Yeah, and don't feel like it. That's right.
On the train the first time and only that I done that, we got stuck in the
Westlake train. That train,
Westlake.
yeah, that train will back the whole. Yeah,
and then we were sitting there. Yeah. So that train was an extra 45 minutes because it was so slow. Then it was 3 cars from being clear. It stopped. And I'm thinking, bridge. We need a bridge.
Yeah, man.
To go over this.
I've been needing that a long time because even before our traffic problems, Westlake's been like that.
It's not fair to the ambulance people, you know?
No, nor anybody.
People that's having a heart attack.
Right. Yeah, well, you can't get where you need to get. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Westlake's kind of in a weird situation because Westlake kind of doesn't have a lot of those amenities that you have to go to another community.
Yeah, you go to.
Yeah, I mean, Westlake is a refinery now, though, in my opinion. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's changed. I don't know. I go to Lake Charles once or twice a week, but I try to go at certain times, you know.
Yeah. Well, I get off at 2:30 and I normally fly like a bat straight.
So you made a big sacrifice coming over here today.
Not to say that, but since you brought it up.
You did, man. You did. When we started this show, I was worried because I thought as soon as that bridge starts, we're going to have trouble getting people to come in here. And so what I think, and sometimes it's like, well, how do I work with the guest time frame? And some people say, well, I can come in the afternoon, but if they're in Lake Charles, we got the bridge problem.
Yeah.
So the mornings have turned out better.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people can come in the morning.
But all your morning sessions, I couldn't have come.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the only day off is Friday, every other Friday. So.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm doing some roundtables, like I told you. So if you ever want to come back and do a roundtable with some other folks in the room,
give me a call.
Yeah.
I'm not so scared. Maybe
this wasn't that bad.
Oh, it wasn't bad at all.
No,
since it's just you and me.
Just you and me.
I don't need nobody else here.
Yeah, that's right. I actually quite enjoy it, man. I'll be honest. I've really gotten a lot out of visiting with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned so much, and I don't know. Every time I go back and I get to reflect on everything we talked about, and I learn stuff about myself that I don't know.
The way you're talking, yeah.
Yeah, you start, the little memories pop up. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
How do people, you may not want people like going, hey, Rex, I want some pots, but like, how do people get in touch with you, man? Like
I'm everywhere.
Go to Facebook.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm at Stellar Beans. My pots are there. You just take one off the shelf and pay for it at the register. I'll get my money.
There you go.
Give me a call.
So go to Stellar Bean, get a coffee, tea, but make sure you buy a T-Rex mug of your very own.
There you go.
And don't sell it at a thrift store because it's going to find its way back to Rex.
It would be always good.
That's pretty wild, man. Well, thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you very much.
I love you just as well.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Find the Good News. If you would like to advertise on this show or sponsor an episode, just visit findthegood.news. Send me a message and we'll see about getting your business, organization, service, product, or event on the show. I deeply thank each of you again for supporting this podcast.